For example, if at all a patient was admitted in the hospital in the middle of the night when no doctors were available and only a few duty nurses in a small hospital were attending to the patient, and unfortunately the patient passes away, can they file a criminal case against the nurse in the police station directly? Or do they have to write to the nursing council and ask them to take action? Or can they file a case against you or a person who is alleged to have been negligent asking for lakhs of rupees in a court? Or can they file a consumer case? So what are the options available to a person who is claiming to be a victim of negligence? Any answer? It's all the four of them. Please remember, just because somebody is filing a case of negligence in a consumer protection court, it does not absolve the liability of the person who is alleged to have been negligent of facing criminal prosecution, right? So the options available for a person who is alleging that there has been negligence can be three or four. One, he can file a criminal case directly in the police station. Two, he can seek the compensation from the hospital. Three, he can file a suit claiming damages. And four, he can also file a consumer protection case, a case under Consumer Protection Act, right? So all the four options are indeed available with a person who is alleged to have been a victim because of somebody's negligence. I'm sorry, sir, you were early. You were at the right time. I was early. I'm sorry for that. Okay. There have been a few cases where there has been an event in the hospital and a nurse has been held to be negligent. It could be because of various reasons. Now we'll first ask ourselves this question. If at all the nurse in the hospital is alleged to be negligent, who will have to make the compensation payment? Is it the nurse himself or herself, or is it the hospital? I'm expecting an answer. Hospital. Why? Is not that person who is responsible liable to pay? Yes, you are right. It is the hospital which will be liable to pay, because in law there is a concept called vicarious liability. That is, if at all a person is working for and on behalf of someone, and if that someone is paying for the person who is doing it, then the liability though is of the nurse. In the instant case, if at all a nurse is working for the hospital, and if nurse is alleged to have been negligent, though it is the nurse, but the claim will be made as against the hospital, and it is open for the hospital to recover the same from the nurse, right? So this is a concept what in law is called as a vicarious liability. However, in criminal law, there's nothing called a vicarious liability, and it is only the person who's alleged who will have to face the prosecution, right? So this is all about medical negligence and nurses. Now, as far as the criminal case is concerned, as far as doctors are concerned, the Honorable Supreme Court has held that you cannot proceed against a doctor directly or an alleged incident of medical negligence. There has to be an opinion given by the expert body. That is, invariably it is the medical council of the particular state who will give the expert body or expert opinion, or anybody who is a doctor in the same field. But however nursing is concerned, I think there's a bit of a lacuna in law, in the sense that there is no judgment or no law which requires that any such expert opinion shall have to be obtained even before the nurse is proceeded against for any case of negligence, right? And as far as compensation in the consumer courts is concerned, the person who is alleging that the nurse has been negligent will have to establish with enough proof that the nurse has been so reckless, careless, or acted in breach of a duty that the same has resulted in an injury, right? So I'm sure early in the morning, speaking of damages and speaking of compensation doesn't really make anybody too happy, but then I think that's the hard bullet that we have to bite. right? So the case of negligence is not as much only to the doctors as much as it can be with the nurses as well. So as far as this is concerned, any questions, or can we go forward with some other topics? I have been given the topics of no forensic, but I was required to speak on Negligence and Consumer Protection Act, the rights of the victim and the accused, and also the hospital if it was a facilitator. So any questions, or do I assume that you have no questions to ask? We can come back as well after session, but if you have anything to ask on the aspect of negligence, I think we can discuss that now. Any questions? I'm able to see some hesitancy on the face. You don't want to ask some questions, but you can if you have any questions. If you're very convinced about what we have discussed, then you don't need to. Please, ma'am. And that's how a leader leads.
Sir, in case of, we discussed about negligence suits we can claim under Consumer Act in various circumstances of the hospitals. But what about Ayushman Bharat and other insurance which are covered by the government? Can they claim, sir, for negligence? Like, for example, ABRK schemes, patients get patients get claims from Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman ABRK schemes or other central government or state government schemes, the reimbursement will be done to the colleges or hospitals. So can they go ahead for claims? Patients who have availed the facilities through central government schemes, so can they claim for?
Yeah, I got a point. The question is, I think I'm loud enough to be heard.
Sir,
Maybe
you can.
A very interesting question which I actually had not thought too much about before the question was posed at me. So we have been only discussing those cases where a person has paid from his pocket or he has not paid from the pocket. So the question is, if the government is making a payment for the patient to avail the services in the hospital, and God forbid if an untoward incident happens, can such a person be claiming the benefit? Ma'am, I should confess that I have not come across any such decided case in India as yet. I have not come across. But logically speaking, ultimately what matters is whether consideration or payment has been made. So whether payment has been made by the government or made by me may be immaterial. Let's try to compare this with the aspect. Even if I go to a hospital where some people pay and I do not pay, right? The court has held that even if you have not paid, but then you are a consumer, because the payment for which the services that you have availed is coming at the cost of somebody else who is paying for you, right? If at all 80 patients pay, 20 patients don't pay, but the 80 patients are also paying for the 20 patients who are not paying. So there is a consideration, though not it has been passed from my pocket. So assuming the same analogy, unless we have a decided case, which I'm sure is not there as yet, I have no reason to believe that I cannot claim myself to be a consumer, even if at all the government is paying. Because government pays for me from where? It is my own taxes, in one form or the other. Because the government of Karnataka does not have a printing machine to print the notes. It only collects taxes. Taxes are paid by the citizens. So the money that has been paid by the government, I would say, is a consideration. And second one, maybe if it is a hospital, for example, even if at all for some people the government is paying through different schemes, but if there are some other people who are paying, then anyway they are in the bracket of a consumer. So this question may be of importance only when it's absolutely a free service hospital, a charitable hospital, or a government hospital where nobody pays anything. Only then this question would crop up. But even then, I would say, if at all assuming that I'm in a court of law arguing that I'm a consumer, I would say that even the government is paying for whatever services I have availed through the money that is collected through tax, which citizens have paid. So that will be a consideration, and I have no reason to believe that I will not be a consumer. So I think when those hospitals are indeed liable.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not too sure, ma'am, whether there's any other view on this point.
No, sir. There were two things, because ABRK, it covers both government hospitals and private.
Correct.
So empaneled hospitals.
Correct.
So a patient, though the government is paying for his treatment, it again depends whether he's taking in a government hospital or private hospital.
I have a point to add to this, sir. Okay. So basically, it's nothing but insurance. Whether government is paying or it is a private insurance, or a hospital is getting some amount for the service rendered. So as well, the amount what is generated is distributed as the service fees or consultation fees in the division. So even the health professionals are getting benefited out of it. So it is something what is they have collected as a fees. So I think it's a consumer, they are consumers. Somebody is paying on their behalf,
Correct.
but they are consumers.
Yes.
So they are liable.
Ma'am, just to add to what sir said, if it is the private hospital in which the government is paying, call it as insurance or call it compensation, call it justice services, whatever the nomenclature may be. If it is a private hospital, there's no question at all. Because anyway, somebody else is paying, even if it is free from my angle, then I think I will be a consumer. Even in those government hospitals where it is absolutely free, even if a token charge of 10 rupees is taken, even then I think, but I'm not quite sure what's the logic of this judgment, because I can hardly think of any hospitals where I just walk in and walk out. Even the most beneficial charitable hospitals at least will have some fees to be paid. So I think this is more for the law books to have that this is the bracket of hospitals than for any substantive justice. Ma'am, does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let me ask this question and leave it at this for you to think on this issue. A patient comes to a hospital at about 1:30 in the morning in a small village, in a small hospital, where there's only one or two doctors and one or two nurses. The doctors are not available at that point of time, and there's only one nurse who is available. Right? And when a patient when a person who's met with an accident, who's in the golden hour of his life. Do you understand what's the golden hour of a life? Okay, good. So he comes to the hospital. Can the nurse say that I can't give any treatment to you right now because I'm not qualified to be a doctor, so you please go to the next town or the next hospital? This can happen anyway. So can the nurse say that I will not attend to you because I do not have the expertise, so you please go elsewhere? Or should the nurse be saying, give me a minute, I'm going to call the doctor any moment and he will come and help you? So what would you do if you were the nurse in the station or the nursing station or the hospital at that point of time? Principal sir, may I ask this question to you? If at all there is a nurse in the hospital in the wee hours of the morning, maybe early in the morning, a patient, a medical legal case, an accident case comes, who is in the golden hour of the life. Now, can the nurse say that I cannot treat you, I cannot do anything, you please go to the next hospital? Yes? A yes and a no?
Sir, whichever patients come to the emergency service, we must attend the patients first.
Exactly. Yes, there was this dispute before the judgment of the Supreme Court in Permanent Khatara versus Union of India. The question was, if at all a patient comes to you, whether you have a choice of treating him or not to treat him. Because so many times it happens that if at all the doctor feels that this patient, there's a high risk factor and which he does not want to take a risk, he may just say that I don't want to do it. But then the Honorable Supreme Court of India has now held in Permanent Khatara that everybody has a right of medical assistance. So the least that you should do is to at least do whatever can be done at that point of time, which is most important. Right? If at all a patient who has met with an accident has come to the place, the least that you can do is at least give him some medical support, and if not anything, at least if at all he's having a breathing problem, at least some oxygen support so that he can reach the next hospital. So ladies and gentlemen, please remember that it shall be your duty to do as much as possible when a patient, how much soever injured he is, comes to your hospital. You cannot just close your doors on him, right? But yes, then that does come with a bit of a risk. Then that's what I think a lot of doctors are also raising. If at all we do not have the capability of operating or saving, and if he comes, and if at all we try to do save something because the Supreme Court has said so, and if something happens, then who is answerable? I think for that now we have a law in place which says that any person who tries to vandalizes the hospital or the place for whatever reason, I think the law has come down very heavily upon such people. But please remember that you cannot shirk off your responsibility, and you cannot say that I will not be handling this and you've got to go elsewhere, right? At least the bare minimum that is required shall have to be provided by the hospital or whosoever is in charge of it, right? So any other issues, any other questions that you have? I thought there should be a lot of questions, because when a lawyer meets a doctor or when a doctor meets a lawyer, they have so many questions for each other. I'm rather surprised that you do not have too many for me today. Any questions on this, or should we go for the rights of the patients? Okay, the next topic, I have 20 minutes more. The next topic that we'll be discussing is the right of the patient. And we will try to examine, sir, you have a question? No, it's okay, sorry. So we will try to examine the rights of a patient as per the NHRC charter in view of the question before us, that as far as the nurses are concerned. So what rights can a patient have as against the nurse? I don't do anything independently. I am only somebody who works under the instructions and the expertise of somebody else who is a doctor. So if I'm not taking any independent decisions, then how can I be responsible, or I have a duty to somebody else? This can be a question, but then please remember that you are as much a part of the ecosystem of healthcare as much as a doctor is. Or I would say a nurse is more important than a doctor, if not anything else, or at least they are equally important, right? So please do not think that you're only playing a second fiddle in the operation theater. I think your services are as important as that of a doctor, right? So we'll just wait for a minute. We have some guests who are settling down now. What it actually does is that it really takes away the focus of the person who's addressing, and it also disturbs a lot of other people. So I really wonder why maybe they're on a vacation now. Yes, madam and sir, can you please settle down? Hi, I'm speaking to you. Yes, for all of you who have just joined us, we have just been discussing a few aspects about negligence and with special reference to nurses, and you would have missed a few things that we discussed. But nevertheless, now we're going to discuss about the rights of a patient versus the duty of a nurse. And is there a difference between a right and a duty? I'm sure you would have used the word right and duty a few thousand times in your lifetime now. So what is the right thing? Does right have any particular connotation? Is the right a same thing as privilege? Okay, let me ask you, I am very thirsty. You are having a bottle of water with you. I come to you to seek some help for water, and you say no. So are you liable if something happens to me because I don't drink the water? Do I have a right to drink the water that you are holding and that belongs to you? So what then is a right? When we speak of a right of a patient, what is that we are speaking of? Okay, let me ask these questions and then try to understand if at all this becomes a right. A patient comes to the hospital. He is suffering from a STD or whatever diseases that we can think of, which nobody he wants to know. His wife comes and asks the nurse, my husband was admitted in the hospital last evening, and I want to know what the status is. So can the nurse, who is the custodian of documents very often, I think it's not as much the doctor as much as the nurse who is the custodian of documents, can the nurse give the information of the health of the husband to his wife? No? Friends, I'm inviting you to a very debatable, controversial case. The Supreme Court of India also has not yet been able to give a clear verdict on this. So any verdict that you give here may help people in Delhi to decide. Right? Now, for this reason, look at this. Look at this. I understand. I understand. What you're saying is that the right of privacy of the patient is far more important than anything, right? Is the right of privacy that you're speaking of? Yeah, okay. Let me ask you this question then. A couple is married for the past 1.5 months. I'm telling you a live example. We are taking the names because there's a bar on taking the names. Unfortunately, the husband is suffering from HIV, which his wife does not know. But she has a doubt, right? So, on a case when the husband is admitted in the hospital, the wife comes and says, for the love of God, it's my own husband, right? So please tell me what the problem is. So now the nurse has got to think, the doctor, the hospital has to think. Is the right of privacy of the person far more important than anything else? So how much far do we walk into right of privacy? Now let's try to argue it out. Most of you are now saying that it cannot be given, right? How many of you say that it should be given, or it can be given, or it may be given? Okay, that's a minority. Now, the beauty of a lawyer, I'll tell you. If you go to a lawyer and ask him, if there are 3 people sitting and if you want one, you go to a doctor and ask him how much is 3 plus 3, he will say 6. You go to an engineer, he says 6. My God, why are you having a doubt? You go to a lawyer and ask him how much does 3 plus 3 make. He will ask you, it's all right, you tell me how much you want it to be. Right? That's a lawyer in the house for you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, but now, let me see. Most of you, or a substantive majority of you, have been saying that the right of privacy has to be given importance. Let me try to see if I can change or make you change your mind. Now, let us think that I am that unfortunate wife of that unfortunate man. Just because he's suffering from HIV, please do not feel that he has been a sinner or anything wrong with his moral turpitude. It may be a conspiracy of circumstances. But the fact is, if I am the unfortunate wife, okay, and you do not tell me that he's suffering from HIV, then tomorrow after we get a child, right? I think medical science would say that 95% of chances the child would indeed be HIV positive, right? So what mistake was the child has the child done that it has to suffer, right? So what is the mistake that the wife has done that she also is now a HIV patient? So now tell me whether the right to life of a possible baby and the right to life of a wife is more important, or the right to privacy of the patient is more important. Now I understand we are between the deep sea and the devil. In this very context, what is the duty of the nurse? So can the patient say, you do not disclose the status to my wife because this is a right to privacy that I have. It has been inscribed in the NHRC charter and also upheld by the Supreme Court. So my right to privacy will stop you from sharing the information. Or the wife can say that it's private, obviously, but it's not as much a private issue as anything else between me and my husband. There's nothing private. So how many of you would now say that forget about what happens to his wife, forget about what happens to the child, right to privacy is more important, don't share the information? So now how many of you would say that? Nobody? So then I think I'm a good lawyer. I've been able to make you change your mind. Yes, so please remember, there is nothing called an absolute right. There's nothing called an absolute duty. Somebody did say it was circumstantial. I don't know. I think from this corner I got that answer. I think that's as right an answer as you could even get in the corridors of the court. right? There's nothing called absolute right or an absolute duty. So here, yes, he has a right to privacy as against the world. I don't need to tell his neighbor, I don't need to tell somebody in the town that he's suffering from HIV. But I think as far as his wife is concerned, I think I do not know what the rules say, but I would say as a lawyer that the wife, indeed the duty, I would rather say the duty of the nurse to caution the wife that such a thing is happening, so that a potential possible risk can be averted and avoided, right? So right to privacy is the first right of the very many rights that the patient has. Indeed, he has a right to privacy, but this right to privacy has got a lot of attending circumstances which will waive that right of privacy. Second right, right to information.
Sir? Yes, sir. Myself.
Oh, sorry, yes, sir.
Just to add on to the law and the medical information, whenever patient, right now we're changing the terminology because even the common person get to know that. Initially we used to say AIDS, then it came to HIV, now we call it as RVD. Now it is infectiously hazardous or no, whatever. So once such patients are there, there is a counseling unit. Usually we medical fraternity as well as most of the nursing staff and refer them to that counseling center. And with their consent, they do the counseling as well as the partner. Need not be the wife. Okay, we say it as a partner or sexual partner who has to be disclosed of this infectious diseases. That is there in the rule, or we call it as medical ethics, wherein because there is a dangerousness of contracting the disease and that endangers the disease because there is no complete treatment or cure for HIV cases.
As of today, at least.
Yes. We are bound to disclose, and we call it as privileged communications, which we can override the privacy. So that has been followed.
Just a legal support, whatever sir said is a practical aspect, just a legal support to is that is the principle of law has been the maximum benefit of maximum number of people will prevail over the interest of one individual. And though they say this is a European concept, sir, but I should tell you this, we have this concept right in Manusmriti, and perhaps earlier than that, where they said, in the interest of the kingdom, sacrifice a village. In the interest of village, sacrifice a family, and in the interest of a family, sacrifice an individual. Right? Grammar sarte ekam tejet. Anyway, I'm not going to the Sanskrit version, but then I think just an instance to say that every law that we now have, how much soever European you call it, I think will have some roots in our own law. Right? So it's only our blind passion for anything which is not Indian that makes us adore and admire that law. I think deep down we look into, I think we have answers for every possible question. Right? So then, so please remember that sir now says that there is a council in every hospital which as a matter of routine duty does counsel and discuss with their new ones. So may I ask you this question, now that the Supreme Court of India has made live-in partnership also legal, would the live-in partner who may or may not become his wife, would she also have a right?
So with this regard, this is why I think I told it is called as a partner, not a legally wedded or this one wife. So any person who is danger of contracting the disease, okay. So in those cases, it has to be disclosed. This is why, sir, like even during the operation, it's not only the consultant, whole team is made aware that the person is suffering from disease because they are at the chances of getting contracted because of needle prick or some injuries, prick injuries or spillages and other things. It is bound to. And few diseases are called as notifiable diseases in law, which are bound to be informed because public is at risk. Like for example, corona, where recently, if somebody is contracted with a corona, whole house was cordoned off.
Quarantine, yes, yes.
Then it is again intrusion of privacy, where even the news channels were in front of their house. Okay. So that was wrongly done as per the rules and regulations. But warding off and this one, because public is at risk, then it is bound to be disclosed, sir.
Yes. So ultimately, then are we in the house able to agree with each other that public interest will override the private interest, and if at all there is an attending urgent necessity for the public to know, then at least those are such people who need to know can be told about it, right? So that's the discussion that we had on the right to privacy. Second thing is right to informed consent, right? And the nurse, I think, is a very important player when it comes to informed consent. I think it is the nurse who has to fill up the forms. I don't know how it happens actually in the operation theater. I think the doctor might tell, and I think the patient. So can we say then what is the informed consent? If as a doctor I know, and if as attending nurse I know that this man has got 95 or 98% block, so he may not possibly survive. But if I tell him that don't go in for an operation because I'm going to lose one, an operation and the possible financial aspects of it, my hospital is not going to be happy. So if I am going to conduct an operation, can I tell him that you only have 40%, right? There's a good chance that you survive. Please go in for the operation. And if at all he gives the consent, would this be an informed consent? Or what would be within the bracket of informed consent? See, I think it's a very difficult proposition. If I tell the patient on the bed that you have got 95% block, then I think he may die even before the operation is conducted. And if I do not tell him, then he may not be able to take a very informed decision. So, how do you say, then what is informed consent? How much do I tell and how much I should not be telling him? Sometimes what I do not tell is far more important than what I tell. So what is that you tell him to get an informed consent? Or it is just that I tell you to sign the form, you got to sign it here. You don't have choice of asking me any questions. Is that an informed consent? I think by law it's now more well settled that an informed consent would mean that a person has been given as much information as possible and can be given under the circumstances for him to make an informed choice of whether he wants to or he doesn't want to, right? But please remember, informed consent and taking the consent and maintaining the forms, I think by now, at least by the settled principles of judgments of Supreme Court and High Courts and various other courts, would be the duty of the attending nurse, right? So this would be as far as informed consent is concerned. Therefore, we have a lot of other rights of the patients. I just want to flag one right. These clinical trials. Can the information that the hospital or the doctor or the nurse has collected during the clinical trial be shared? Maybe with companies, with the medical research companies or whatever?
No, sir.
In a free, let's imagine it's an absolutely free charitable hospital, right? Free hospital. Nobody pays even a rupee for anything there. Even the breakfast, lunch, and dinner is free. There, they collect some samples for clinical trials. Can that be shared? Because please remember, I think medical companies pay crores of rupees to get this information. Can hospitals share the information? Though it will be a part of privacy, but clinical trials per se, can they? Because this case did crop up before the High Court of Odisha, where the patient had filled a form that she's aware that the information that she's giving may be used for research purposes, but somehow once the information was shared, she said that her right to privacy has been offended. And then she said, even by my choice, I cannot give up my right of privacy, and the hospital was under a legal obligation to keep it confidential. The High Court held that since she had given the consent for the information to be used, she could not have now proceeded, and more so because there was no injury as such or a financial loss that was caused to her. But her argument was, now that you have utilized some things belong to me, you have to pay me for that, right? So the Supreme Court also held that it cannot be done because you had given a consent. So that's the reason informed consent becomes more important. Very often, I'm sure you would have booked your train tickets or air tickets or flight tickets, or some of your relatives may have been in the hospital. You just sign. How many of you would have read all those forms that you have filled? I'm sure this is an online zamana. I think when you are booking something online, it asks for so many, I agree. So many times as a lawyer, I have signed, I ticked it without reading it. So can that be held against you? So that again depends upon the facts, and then the court says that, but if at all you had a reason to believe that the information will be shared, then you cannot say that as a patient I have a right to confidentiality and privacy, and you cannot claim anything against them. The next one is right to documents. I'm sure as a nurse you will be maintaining a lot of documents. The person when he was admitted, what was the situation status when he was admitted, whatever medical terminology you have for that. So when the person is to be discharged, see for example, let us say if at all he has to pay 1,20,000 rupees as fees, medical fees or charges, whatever you call it. He says, I do not have the money to pay. Can you say that I will not give you those documents unless you pay the fees? I'm sure there are no private practicing doctors here. They would be encountering the situation day in and day out. So can a nurse or can the hospital or can the doctor say that I will not give you those documents unless you make the payment? Doctors will correct me right if I'm wrong. There have been instances when dead bodies or what they call cadavers or whatever, they have not been given only because the fees has not been paid. Will the doctor be right in saying that you pay me the fees first, then I'll give the dead body of your relative? Can that happen? Can a person be held to ransom only because he's not able to pay? But just think the otherwise. If people come, get admitted, and then they say, I don't have money to pay, then what would be the status of the hospitals? So I think this is again a moral question. It's not as much a legal question as much as it is a moral question. But I have always been wondering, we do not have judgments on this. Can the doctor deny or refuse to hand over the medical records to the patient or the dead body to the next of the dead, kith and kin of the dead? Can he say that I shall not give you unless my fees is paid? Ma'am, I don't know whether you remember, this is a very famous singer who was supposed to be the pride of Karnataka, who had to be hospitalized in a private hospital in Hubli. And then, unfortunately, she breathed her last. And the relatives did not want to make the payment. Unfortunately, government of Karnataka stepped in for them. But I think very nearly the situation had arisen there. But I don't know, so this will continue to be a vexed question. Because if I am appearing for, as a lawyer in the court, if I am appearing for the person who's a relative of the dead, or if at all I am appearing for the patient, then I will say that you cannot hold back my documents only because I have not paid. But if I am appearing for a doctor, people cannot walk in, get admitted, enjoy my hospitality and also the services, and then say I don't have to pay and I'll walk away. So I think there has to be something in the middle which is worked out as a via media, but I'm not too sure if there are any rules by the medical council or the nursing council. So are there any of that?
Not as such, sir, but what we have learned and what we have observed is custody of the documents is the hospital, but documents are the property of belongs to the patient.
Correct.
So where only the warehouse for the documents, but once the patient requests it, we are bound to give them.
Sir, in law, there is something called a concept of lien. I can hold a lien on to those documents. Now, if I give the documents away, he walks away from my hospital, and the bill is a few lakhs, then who would be paying me the money? If I've treated the patient for 6 months in the hospital, I've incurred the expenses of about 1.5 crore. Now, on the principle that I cannot hold the cadaver back or the dead body back, if there's a direction to me to give the dead body to the next kith and kin, then from where am I to recover? Let's not forget that this is not just a legal issue. Maybe a few instances like that will happen in hospital A. The hospital A will start saying, unless you deposit a sum of rupees so and so, I'll not even give you an admission. Which we cannot say is wrong. Ultimately, no doctor is going to do this at his own cost. So I think these are the high points of the interaction of morality of a doctor versus the legality of the patient. Right? So there has to be, I think very soon there has to be a bit of a law. Maybe in other countries we don't really have this much of a problem, because as I've seen in very many countries abroad, there is a lot of insurance. I think in UK, I can't even buy a crocin across the counter. I need a medicine for that. And I for sure know that to get a small little appointment for a small little operation, I have to wait for 6 months, even in a country like Germany. Unless the doctors say, unless the council says that there is an urgency for operation, I think even if at all you are in terrible pain, you have to wait. I think from that angle, we are very lucky, though we have some difficulties, right? So as far as the right to have our documents and other things are concerned, again, I would say that these are not well-defined areas of law. That's the reason we trouble the judges and the lawyers so much, because we don't really have everything well defined. Possibly you cannot have everything well defined. But I think sooner or later there should be a law on this which will give some protection to the doctor of the expenses is incurred, and at the same time give some remedy for the person who has lost somebody in the family or person who wants his documents back, right? So though I have a couple of more issues to discuss, but then I think my gong is striking 11, so I think I have to stop at this. But meanwhile, I think we have about 5 to 6 minutes if anybody has any questions. So already the problem as a lawyer, when I'm arguing in a court of law, I always will ask my colleague, have I left anything out in terms of argument? And I'm sure as a nurse, your doctor will be asking you, have I left anything in? I think a lawyer leaving something out of the arguments and a doctor or a nurse leaving something inside the body at the time of operation, I think are equally dangerous, right? So both of us should be definitely avoid doing that. Yeah, having said that, any questions if they have? Please, yes? I'm sorry, my friend. I will pass it on to you.
So good morning, sir. Meanwhile, during this session, we came across a situation you made that 1:30 a patient comes and
Dear, let me say this. I only said that I did not bring about the situation.
yeah, sir. Just
Okay.
I just regarding that I have a
discussed
quote.
about issue. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Around 1:30
No,
a patient.
just before that, I'm sorry. I want to make this very clear because I do visit a lot of multinational companies and a lot of places, and I deliver lecture on anti-sexual harassment policies, right? So I, in a very big company, was introduced. We have so and so, and he's going to speak about sexual harassment to you. Dear, oh dear, I did not want to speak about that. I was only speaking about anti-sexual harassment there, right? So I did not bring about the situation.
No, sir. No.
The patient now.
In that situation, I had some doubt. So
Yes,
just I want to clarify that.
Please.
A patient comes and a patient needs immediate treatment, and we are supposed to do the at least initial treatment, and we does. And if anything goes wrong and the patient dies, will that nurse will be penalized? Is my question.
Yes, I would rather think it's a very important question because how much of liability? That's why I said the Supreme Court of India in permanent Khatara said that it shall be the duty of a person to do at least the bare minimum, especially when the patient is in the golden hour of its life, right? But the question is, if I'm trying to help, only because of the direction of the phone or even otherwise, and if something goes wrong with the patient, then is the nurse held to be liable? My answer to that, sir, I'll tell you this: whenever there is somebody goes to a doctor or somebody to a lawyer, there are a lot of facts that will have to be told to the patient, to the doctor or to the lawyer. But in the given set of circumstances, one, I understand the nurse took upon herself to treat the patient only because the doctor was not there. One, right? Two, that she would otherwise not have taken, but for the fact that the patient would anyway die if at all she doesn't try to help someone, right? And three, she jolly well knew that she's not a doctor, she does not really have that expertise, but then yet tried to save, right? My answer to this would be she's absolutely not liable, subject to a condition that she did not, by her act, accelerate the death of the person, right? If I can't do anything good, don't do, but do not do anything which is bad, right? It's like this: if at all we're all flying in an aircraft, and if at all it's a single pilot engine and aircraft, if the pilot suffers a massive cardiac arrest and he dies, do we all as passengers let the flight crash, or would one of us try to say, Anyway, you're going to crash. Let me see if I can land safely. Even if at all I'm going to make a belly landing, let me see if I can do that, right? So if at all you have done all that you could have to the best of your ability within the limitations that you have, yet if somebody suffers a death, absolutely no liability can be imposed on you. But having said that, I have quite a few doctors who are my good friends and clients too. They say sometimes trial is more dangerous than the punishment, right? See, if a case is hoisted against you, you have to go to the court of law, you have to run from pillar to post, you have to engage a lawyer. That's the reason why we say that a lot of people don't want to take the case, right? So law will not impose upon you the liability, but somehow you may have to face the discomfort of going to court times and again.
Thank you, sir.
But I think we are now having a law which says that people like this, Samaritans, we call them, they should not be. I think there's a bill or an act I think is going to come into force, right? Yes, Good Samaritan. So the Samaritan policy, I think, yes, sir. Yeah. So in that circumstance, I think we can call you a Good Samaritan.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, but I think as individuals, as human beings, as professionals, I think we have a duty to give the best that we can back to the society, right? Any other question? Yes, please. My friend, why don't you tell your names and which college you come from before you pose the question so that the house knows you? So you can take this. I think I am.
Good morning, sir. My doubt is one of my relative, she had undergone the tubectomy. That
Beg your pardon?
One of my relative had undergone the tubectomy.
Okay.
It is a permanent sterilization. After the 2-3 years back, she again conceived, but she was not aware of her pregnancy. She thought it may be missed periods. After that, it may come like that. But she was conceived in the tube itself. So what about the how the hospital management can defend from this law issue?
Okay. This decided case on this in the state of Odisha. Yes, am I audible? Yeah, we have a decided case on that in the state of Odisha. The facts there were very identical to the one which ma'am was narrating. There, the person after the third gravida went into this tubectomy, but after about 6 months, she realized that she was indeed again carrying, but she didn't do anything. She delivered after the whatever time was 9 months was over. Then she went to the hospital saying that I had undergone this operation. I had reasons to believe that I will not again conceive, but I have conceived and now have delivered. I can't take care of the child. I do not have the finances. So the hospital should take care of the expenses of the child. Right? So here, of course, I think, but ma'am, the baby was delivered or what happened in this case?
Was the tubal pregnancy, sir.
Okay.
It was ruptured in the tube itself. She went to unconsciousness. She was admitted. Again, it was removed by laparotomy.
I'm so sorry to hear that. So sorry to hear that. But then, yes, if at all we take it as a case like this, without even, as a lawyer, I've been told that you should never relate anything to yourself, because once I say it's my relative or my sister or my brother, we get a bit more emotional, and being emotional, you can't take a correct decision, right? So let's say Mr. A takes his wife to the hospital, who is Mrs. B, and Mrs. B undergoes the operation for tubectomy. After 7 months, they find that Mrs. B is again carrying. So the operation clearly having failed, can the hospital be held to be liable? Ordinarily, yes. If the very purpose of the operation was to see to it that an event doesn't happen, and if at all it indeed happens, unless the hospital were to give an answer which is satisfying the requirement, I think the hospital will continue to be liable for this for the repercussions of this liability. But having said that, there may be a contributory negligence on the part of the patient as well. Because I'm not too sure, I'm not a doctor, but from little experience I can tell you, if at all a person misses 1 or 2 periods or menstrual cycles, then I think there's a different, she has to see a doctor. There is a possibility that she's carrying. So in case she has not done what was required of her to be doing, then I think there can be a case of contributory negligence, but nevertheless, that will not entitle the hospital to be let free. So the hospital will be held to be liable. The only question will be how much of that would be the liability. But ma'am, these cases do happen. It's not one of such instances that you are narrating. Maybe it's the system that we have, maybe the fault of the doctor who has done it. But yes, there have been repeated cases like this which the system has seen. Any other questions? I think we had a couple of good friends there who are asking questions. Hello, sir. Yes. Yes?
Sir. So, good morning, sir. Sir, I'm Perumal from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, Belagavi. So, I have such a questions regarding what are all things I faced in my life. So, there is two scenarios I faced.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get you. Can you be a bit more slow?
Sir?
Yes, slow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, when we are receiving the patient, so that time, so in case of pediatric cases or mentally insane person, if we are receiving, so that time, so we have some sort of treatment options are there. So for example, in case of anemic cases, so the HB like a 3 or 4. So in such kind of situation, so obviously if the patient age less than 12 years of age, we have to obtain consent from the parents only. So that time we can advise blood transfusion. Or it not to be a medical case, it may be a road traffic accident emergency case. For example, emergency case we can obtain as per 92 IPC. But medical cases, so if you are consulting blood transfusion is needed. So that time the parents told like as per some reasons like religious reasons, no, I don't want blood transfusion. So that time what can we do, sir?
It's a difficult question. It is if at all a person does not want to undergo a blood transfusion or any surgical intervention that is required, you can't force yourself on him or her, right? So I would say that in case the relatives of the patient or the patient, if at all he's in a good condition, himself says, I do not want to undergo a surgical intervention, or I do not want to undergo a blood transfusion, then there's no way a hospital can impose on him and say, no, you need to do this. The choice. But you will have to give a very good explanation to him, so as to the pros and cons. That was what I meant when I said an informed consent. So you will have to tell the patient, this is going to happen, A, B, C, D is going to happen if at all you undergo. G, H, I, G, K points may happen if you do not undergo. So you please make a choice. Then they will have to make a choice. In law, we have what a concept called as voluntary cause injuria. So if you voluntarily choose something to do to yourself, you cannot blame others for that. So you will continue to have your autonomy and the decision-making ability in spite of the fact that the person who's there is a patient.
So, based upon our medical knowledge, we know if we do not do this treatment, we will lose the patient. But in some situations, the attendants or parents may told, so okay, I don't want, because that's a child less than 12 years of age. Okay, so even he did not give the consent by means of his treatment.
Yeah, that's why I said, see, you're inviting me to a discussion on euthanasia, which will take a whole day if you start discussing. Even in euthanasia, the same thing happens. Right? I'm sure you know what euthanasia. Yes. So here, as a doctor, you may be very sure that the patient is definitely going to be in trouble if at all he doesn't listen to what I say. But then if he says he does not want to get himself operated, in my assessment and opinion, you can't impose yourself on him or her.
Yes. Sir,
you might as well be within your rights to say that then you please get yourself discharged and go to some other hospital in a manner known to law. But you cannot unilaterally decide and impose your wisdom or your knowledge on somebody who does not want to.
Okay, sir. Sir, in such kind of situation, whether we can imply Article 21, sir. So it's a right to life only. In such situation, whether we can apply or not, sir.
Yes, Article 21, though we speak of a right to life, point one, right to life can be imposed only as against the state. And here you are making a choice. Not getting operated is as much my decision as much as it is yours to operate me.
Okay.
So my right to life includes the right to decide what I want for myself, right? So when you're right, I'm happy that you raised the question of Article 21, but let us not forget that a person who is making a decision also has a right to choose to himself, and if he chooses to himself not to get operated, then the doctor cannot impose. Having said that, this is a very touchy issue because if at all a person cannot commit suicide, and if as a doctor you are saying not letting me do this operation on you is as good as you committing suicide, so please let me do it. I do not know how many doctors want to really take it to that sort of an analogy.
Sir, may I add to this, sir?
Yes, please, sir. Please, sir.
It is something as good as hunger strike.
Yes.
Okay, you can't treat a person who is sitting on a hunger strike unless he becomes unconscious, and now it is you are saving the life. Similarly with the DNR, do not resuscitate with the stating the last will.
Yes, sir.
Okay, even if he is unconscious, you are not supposed to treat because it was the will which had been made when he was totally conscious, compos mentis. So I feel like unless what happens to my body is my right and its autonomy remains with me. So in that case, we need not impose.
So I think it's not. So if I can say this to you, extending the same analogy, then does any person have a right to commit suicide? Attempt to commit suicide.
Yes.
I think this is the only offense where commission is not an offense, attempt is one, right? So,
Decriminalized, sir.
but I think law does not permit a person to even commit an attempt to commit suicide.
Yes.
That's my body.
Yes.
So his analogy is, if I'm not letting you perform the operation on me now, is as good as choosing to die, choosing to commit suicide. So under these circumstances, can I impose myself on him? Because as a doctor, I know if I do not operate, tomorrow he's going to die. So that's how. But very few doctors of this high thinking will be there who will say, no matter what, I will perform it. But as first said, I think the ultimate choice
Okay, sir.
will be with the patient.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think I'm overstepping my time. We have a very distinguished visit week.
Hello, sir. Last.
Yes, I think I'll just take the last question, ma'am, if you permit.
Hello, sir. Dear delegates, we have eminent personality, SP of Lokayukta, Mr. Hanumantaraya and his team. We welcome you, sir.
Sir, I'm extremely sorry I'm holding you back, but if you permit me, I'll just take the last question for the day. Yeah, the last question.
My last question here. Hello, sir. Myself, Anil from Demands, Dharwad. I have a question regarding suicide itself. Presently, we are working in the forensic setting, that is, we are taking care of UTP and CTP patients. If we are performing a procedure for a other patient, so some patients are suicide happens means is nurses are liable.
No, I didn't get the question. Can you rephrase that, sir?
Sir, when we performing other procedures in a psychiatric setting, so suicide happens means is nurses are liable.
Okay. I would say, I think we missed a Kodak moment here. I would really be happy if that happens here. Yeah. So the question is, if at all I'm treating the patient for some other ailment or disease, and if she commits or he commits suicide, am I responsible? You may not be responsible, save for the fact that if you had an opportunity of stopping that, you ought to have stopped it.
So, that time I'm performing a procedure for other patient. It happens.
No. See, law will not expect you to be a superhero.
That's
law
what.
will not
That's
expect you to do something so a human being possibly can do. If you're elsewhere, because of which you could not be here, and because of your absence, somebody has committed suicide, you cannot be held liable for two reasons. One, can plead in law what's called as alibi.
Thank you, sir.
In law, what it can be called as alibi. And secondly, you are not responsible for the death. So either ways, you cannot be held to be responsible. But nevertheless, if at all you were to have taken due diligence, if you had taken extra caution and care, which would have stopped that person from committing suicide, I think you may just have to answer. So you will have to say, it was absolutely reasons beyond my control that the thing has happened. Then you cannot be held liable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was indeed a pleasure interacting with you. Okay, I don't want to keep the next dignitary waiting, so I'll call it a day today. But I should tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed, and certain questions and some suggestions from Sir has made me to learn, I think, what I would otherwise never have learned in life. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful session, sir, and it was very informative. And now I would like to call upon the dais Mistress Pushpa MG Madam, Nursing Nodal Officer, to felicitate our resource person. And also I would like to call upon the stage Principal Mr. Namdev Malgi sir to felicitate the resource person. And also I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Prakash Kodli sir to come on the stage.
May I have a request? Giving me an opportunity to address has been the biggest felicitation. So nothing more than that, ma'am. Please.
Thank you, sir. I request moderator of the session, Mr. Sangmeshwar sir, to give certificates to the chairperson.
Thank you. I hope you all had a wonderful session here. It was insightful and knowledge-filled. I thank speakers, chairpersons, and moderators of this very wonderful first session. Now we are moving forward with the second session. I request the next session moderator, Mr. Vinay, to take over the stage.
Hello, good morning, one and all gathered here. I am Vinay PM, sign in as a moderator for medico-legal cases, emphasis on interdisciplinary coordination and communication rates. For this session, I would like to request Dr. Somshekar Pujari, Professor Forensic Medicine, Administrator for Ravi Patil Institution. I request you to chair the session, sir. And another chairperson, I also request Dr. Prakash Siddhapur sir, Principal, BLD, College of Nursing, Tikota, Vijaypur, to take the seat as a chairperson. Please, sir. We are honored to have speaker today with us, Honorable Hanumantarai, IPS Superintendent of Police, Karnataka, Lokayukta, Belagavi. I am request you, sir, please forward and take the seats. Please escort the organizing committee members. We heartily welcome you, sir. Our Honorable Speaker Hanumantarai sir, born on 8th April 1975, he has completed his primary education SB Public School, PUC in SB Science College. He has graduated in Agricultural Sciences from Dharwad Agriculture University from 1993 to 1997. He possesses Masters in Agriculture Sciences, US University of Agriculture Sciences Dharwad in 1997 to 99 with specialization in genetics and plant breeding. Sir has completed PGDBA in Pondicherry University in the year of 2002. Sir has done his MA specialized in police administration in 2004. He served as bank agriculture officer for the period of 5 years from 1999 to 2004, and he cleared KS in the year of 1999 and is joined as a DYSP in the year of 2006. Sir has served in various districts at Ballari, Raichuru, Davangere, Hubli, Dharwad, Pre-Cell State Intelligence KPCL Bangalore. He also served State Intelligence Team at KPCL Bangalore and Commissioner at DCP Crime and Traffic Mangalore City and served as DCP Law and Order. Sir has many presidial awards and Chief Minister Gold Medal in the year of 2011. Sir passes IPS in 2012. Presently posted to Karnataka Lokayukta as Superintendent of Police on 27/6/23. With these words, we are extremely grateful to him for accepting our invite at the nth moment and gracing his presence. The audience is waiting deeply to hear from you, sir. Please, sir.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. At the outset, I thank all the dignitaries and the principal of nursing college, ಮತ್ತು especially Dr. Pushpa madam, who gave me the chance. But actually my colleague, one of my junior colleague, ಅವರು ಬರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಬೆಲ್ಗಾಮ್ DCP Law and Order. I think he was preoccupied or suddenly due to his work schedule, he could not come. So when my colleague Niranjan Patil ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸರ್ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, then normally since it is an academic activity, I have got a bit interest. ಮತ್ತು I thought to spare time and participate ನಿಮ್ಮ ಈ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಐ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಲೀಗ್ಸು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. DSP ರಘು ಅವರು, ಪಾಟೀಲ್, ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಔಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ DSP ಭರತ್ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ moderators and the other chairperson of this session. So academics ಅಂತಂದರೆ the other esteemed speaker was telling ಅವರು that time ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಸ್ ಮೈ ವ್ಯೂ ಇಸ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ಡ್, ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಏನೂ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸಾಕು. ಹಾಂ, ಇದು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮವರು. ಇದು PPT ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಂ, ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ಸಿಗೇನು ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ಟೈಮಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಫೀಲ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಒಂದ್ಸಲಿ ನಾನು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಗಾನ್ ಟು IIM ಅಹಮದಾಬಾದ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎನ್ MBA ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ವೇ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇನ್ 2000 ಇನ್ ದಿ ಇಯರ್ 2000 ನಾನು PG ಮಾಡೋ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ IIM ಅಹಮದಾಬಾದ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ದಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇದು ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಲರ್ನ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು 2 days ಐ ವಾಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಈಸ್ 24/7 ಇದೆ. ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಈಸ್ ಓಪನ್ 24/7. ನಾವು ಬಾಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ 24/7 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ 24/7. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಭಾಳ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಅರ್ತ್. ಏನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕು, ಎಟ್ ಎನಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನೀವು ಆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ತಗೋಬೋದು. ಆ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀವು ಕಾಪಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ಕಾಪಿ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಅಷ್ಟು ಏನಪ್ಪ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು. 2000 ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ದೆನ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ 24/7 ದೆರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಂಟೀನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದೋರಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಐ ಫೀಲ್. ಸೊ ಎನಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಓಪನ್ ಮೈಂಡೆಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಓಪನ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ನಾವು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆರ್ ನೈದರ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿ ಮೊಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಬಾರ್ನ್ ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಹೋಮ್. ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಟು ಟೋಮ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಟಿಲ್ ವಿ ಗೋ ಟು ದಿ ಟೋಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆರ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಬೈ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ಸು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟು, ಬಿಗ್ ದಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಮತ್ತು ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಓವರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್ ಎಟ್ ದಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಪುಷ್ಪಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಡ್ ಮೀ with some material, and over and above I have added a few things, and so let us go ahead. So ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ, ವೇರ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಮತ್ತು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿದ ಒಂದು ಈ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಆರ್ ಲಾ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿರ್ತೋ, ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಅದರ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಅಹೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಸು ಫಾರ್ ದ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ನಮ್ಮ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್. ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು MLC ಯಾವ ಥರ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬೈ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಪೊಲೀಸು ನಾವು ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸು ಆರ್ ದಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸು ಯಾರು ಇಂಜೂರ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ನಾವು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ MLC ಬೇರೆ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೆಫರ್ ಟು ಎ ಹೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಜಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಟ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ನಾವು MLC ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಮಗಾಗಲಿ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ MLC ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡು ಅದನ್ನಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಕೇಳಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಇಫ್ ದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಫೀಲ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್, ಈಗ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಕೆಲವರು ಸಮ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ಸು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ ಅದರ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಅವರು ಹೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದೇ ಟ್ರೂತ್ ಹೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಎನ್ MLC ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್. ಅಂಥ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಇಫ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಫೀಲ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಇದು ಹೌದು ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ವೇ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಇದಂತಂದಾಗ, ಅವಳು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅವರು ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಕನ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್. ಪೊಲೀಸಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತಾ. ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್, ನಾವು ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಟು ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಟು ದಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಲೀಗಲ್ ರಿಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ರೆಮಿಡಿ ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಹೆಡ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇನೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿ ಆರ್ ಅವರ ಓನ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇನೆಂಟ್ ಡ್ರಿವನ್ ಆರ್ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಡ್ರಿವನ್ ಇದೆ. So you and I may be interested, but ultimately that person he has to take it forward. Next. So ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಈಗ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಐ ಕನ್ಕರ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರು, ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಥರ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆರ್ ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ನಾವು ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಲೈಫ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅವನು ಜೀವನಾಂಶ, ಅವನು ಬದುಕು ಸಾವಿನ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಸ್ವಂತ ಹೊಣೆಗಾರ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದಿ ಫೈನಲ್ ಕಾಲ್. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಮೈನರ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಮೈನರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ದಿ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಮೇಜರ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಸೊ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ವಾಟ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಾವು ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರ ಫೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಅದು ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಯಾವ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಯು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ ಫಾರ್ ಯು. ಸಿ ಯು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್. ಒನ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ದೆನ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕಲ್ ಆರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ಲಾ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಅಂಶ ಯು ಆಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ನೋ ದಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಟು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಲಾ ಆರ್ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಬೈಂಡಿಂಗ್. ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 39 ಇದೆ, ವೇರ್ ಎನಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಪೊಲೀಸು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಸಬ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು 10-11 ಸಬ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಲೈಫ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು. ದೆನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 177 201 ಇದೆ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್ ಕಮ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಲಿಂಗ್ MLCಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ವಾಟ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ you have to remember or ನೀವು once the patient comes to the triage or the hospital ಬಂದಾಗ the first respondents ನೀವೇ ಇರ್ತೀರಿ. sometimes the medical practitioner or the incharge will be somewhere away, but first the nursing staff or the paramedics ಏನಿರ್ತಾರೆ they will be the first responders at the hospital. ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು cannot refuse an MLC. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, you don't have any right to there. And there should not be any delay in the examination. First, examination and treatment of the patient is foremost. Adu ellarkine important. You should forget the legal aspects. First, treat him and save his life. Then second ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ informed consent ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮುಂದೆ ನಿಮ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ. Then ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇಫ್ ಅವರು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೆಫರ್ ಟು ಹೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸು. ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ MLC ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಚೆಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟು. ಅದು ನೀವು ಹೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ರೆಫರಲ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಬೇರೆ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಒನ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಎ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಹೇಗಂತ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ವೆದರ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಅಲರ್ಟ್ ಇದಾರೋ ಆರ್ ಹೀಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಶಿಯಸ್ ಆರ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಶಿಯಸ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸು, ಅವ್ರ ಜ್ಯುವೆಲರಿ ಆರ್ ಎನಿ ಅದರ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಬಿಲಾಂಗಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಆರ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೇರ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇರ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ದೇ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಅಕಂಪನಿಡ್ ಬೈ ದೇರ್ ಕೇರ್ ಟೇಕರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ ಆರ್ ದೇ ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಅಕಂಪನಿಡ್. ಅವಾಗ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದಂಥ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವರು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಿದೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆರ್ ದೇ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಫೋನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸು, ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಿದೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅದರ್ ಬಿಲಾಂಗಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆತ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಡೆತ್ ಇನ್ಎವಿಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ವೆನ್ ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಆ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಡೈನ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಾವು ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅಗೇನ್ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ 32 ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಡೈನ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೂಡ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸಾಕ್ಷಿಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಬ್ರು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್, ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕಾನೂನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ಅದು ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಅದು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಏನಂತೇಳಿ. ಫರ್ದರ್ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಡಿಟೇಲ್, ಬಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ನೋ ದಟ್ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಲ್ಯಾವೇಜ್, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ರೂಟೀನ್ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ವಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಆ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ. ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಕೇಸಸ್ ನಾವು ಪೊಲೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಲೋಕಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಒ ಪಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ವಾಶ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಅವರ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಪ್ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ವಾಶ್. ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಹೇಳಲಿ ಬಿಡಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೇ ಹೇಳಲಿ ಬಿಡಲಿ, ಒನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಅವನು ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ವಾಶನ್ನು ನೀವು ಪ್ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ಆ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ವಾಶನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಯಾವ ಪಾಯ್ಸನ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಅವನ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಅವನ ಬಾಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಲ್ಯಾವೇಜ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ವಾಶ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಅದು ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಡಿಲೇ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಕೆಲವರು ಡಿಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಹೆದರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಕೆಲವರು ದೇಶ ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಇದು ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಂತಾರೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೀಗಲ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ಕಾನೂನು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಭಯ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಎನಿ ಡೌಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಆಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಟಪ್. ಅದು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಲೈಕ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಗ ನೀವು ಇರ್ತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಇಶ್ಯೂ. ದೆನ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆತ್ ಆದಾಗ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆತ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಹೇಳಿಕೆಗಳು ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಮೀಡಿಯಾಕ್ಕೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗೋದು, ಅದು ನಿಮ್ದೇನು ರೋಲ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಜಜ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆತ್ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ರೀಸನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೋ ಈಸಿ ಇನ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಸಿ ಹಾಗಾಗಿದೆ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಮೆನಿ ಕೇಸಸ್ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೆನಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಜಜ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೀವೇ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳಬಾರ್ದು. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಲೀವ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ದಿ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ದಿ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇದು ಕೂಡ ರೂಟೀನ್ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಯಾರದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಈಗ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ 112 ಇದೆ. 112 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ದು ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎನಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ 112 ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ದಿ ನಿಯರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಎ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಟು ಅಟೆಂಡ್. ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ನಿಯರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು. ಈಗ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಬೈಕಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಮೀಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಅನ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಅವ್ರ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಪಾಸರ್ ಬೈ ಆರ್ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ರೋಡ್ ಹಿ ಮೇ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆರ್ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಗುಡ್ ಸಮಾರಿಟನ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್, ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಇನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಅಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಟು ದಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್. ಸೊ ಅವನನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದವನಿಗೆ ಬೈ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರು ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದವನಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ ದಿ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಬರೆದು ಕೊಡು, ನೀನು ಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡು, ಹಾಗೆ ನೀನೇ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಡು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಯಾರು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್, ಗೆಜೆಟ್ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಾನೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಇನ್ ಎನ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಟು ಸೇವ್ ಲೈಫ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೊದಲು ಆ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಟು ಸಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಾರ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಸರು ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಹೇಳಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಆ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಆ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಆಲ್. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ನಾವು ಪೊಲೀಸರಾಗಲಿ ಆರ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಯು ಟು ಬಿ ಎ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಬರ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್. ಅವರು ಬಟ್ ಯಾರು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರ ಹೂ ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ನ ಹಿ ಶುಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಹಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಲಾಜ್ ಎ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟ್ರಬಲ್ ಹಿಮ್. ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟ್ರಬಲ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಿ ಶುಡ್ ಅಲೋ ಟು ಗೋ ಆರ್ ಹಿ ಶುಡ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದನ್ನ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತ ಅಂಶ ಇದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಯಾವ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ರನ್ ಥ್ರೂ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಎನಿ ಇಂಜುರೀಸ್, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಇಂಜುರಿ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಅಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಏನಾದರೂ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಘಟನೆ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಂದ ಇಂಜುರಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನರಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್. ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕದು. ದೆನ್ ಬರ್ನ್ ಇಂಜುರೀಸು, ದೆನ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲರ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನೀವು ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಪ್ರಿಕಾಷನ್ ಆರ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ನ್ ಇಂಜುರಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಸುಮಾರು 21 ಪ್ರಕರಣಗಳು ಅದಾರೆ. ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಎನ್ಲಿಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ 21 ಕೇಸಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಸ್ ದಟ್. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಬರ್ನ್ ಇಂಜುರಿ, ಅದು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಆರ್ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನೇ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಡೀಸೆಲ್, ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್, ಕೆರೋಸಿನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಅವ್ರು ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಕೂಡ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೂಡ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ಟು ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಬರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಬೋದು. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಥರ ಡೈಲಮಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಒಬ್ರು ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಟ್ರಕ್ ತಂದು ಅವನನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಟು ಕಿಲ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಅದು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಇಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿನ್ ಎ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಕೇಸಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅದು ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಅಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ನೋ ರೋಲ್ ಇನ್ ಅಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರ ಲೈಫ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಲೀವ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಲೀವ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾಕಾಗಿದೆ ಹೇಗಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ದಿ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರ್, ದಿ ಫೊರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಹೂ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ದಿ PME, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಇಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಿ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್, ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆರ್ ಸುಸೈಡಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆರ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಅದು ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ. ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು. ನಮ್ಮ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೇಸಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆರೋಪಿಗಳು ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ವಿಟ್ನೆಸಸ್ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಒನ್ ಡೇ ಇಟ್ ಸೊ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ದಟ್ ಒಂದು ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದೆ, ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅವನು ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ದೇರ್, ಒನ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ವಾಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಅವನಿಗೆ ನೀರು ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವನೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಬಾಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ SHO ರಾತ್ರಿ ಹೊತ್ತು. ಅವನು ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕುಡಿದು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ವಾಟರ್. ನಾವು ಈ ಪೇಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಥಿನ್ನರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸೇಮ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಥರನೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒರೆಸಿ ಒಂದು ಗಲ್ಪ ಕುಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನಿಂಗ್. ಈ ತರ ಕೂಡ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಕೇಸಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಡೈಲಮಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್. ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರು ಸಾಕು. ದೆನ್ ಅಬಾರ್ಷನ್, ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಎವಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಅಬಾರ್ಷನ್, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಲಾ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಟೈಟ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಕಾನೂನುಗಳಿದಾವೆ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಜರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನು ಇದೆ, ಮೈನರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನು ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಿ ಏಜ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಏಜ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಅವರು ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಶಿ ಇಸ್ ಮೇಜರ್ ಶಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್, ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಮೈನರ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಶಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ರಾಡ್ ಡೆಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವರು ಅಟೆಂಡರ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ದೇ ಮೇ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಮಿಸ್ಲೀಡ್ ಯು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ಹೊಡೆದು ಹಾಕಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಮಗೆ ತಾವು ಸೆನ್ಸಿಟೈಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡರ್ಸ್ ಯಾರಿದಿರಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಸೆನ್ಸಿಟೈಸ್ಡ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ರೆಫರ್ಡ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಏಜ್ ಡಿಟರ್ಮಿನೇಷನು, ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಟರ್ಮಿನೇಷನು, ಪೇರೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಡಿಟರ್ಮಿನೇಷನು, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ನೋ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ ಅದೇ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ ದಿ ಡಯಾಗ್ನೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗೋವರೆಗೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಜಜ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಮತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸ್ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಸಡನ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದು ಏನು ಪ್ಯಾರೆಂಟರಲ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಡ್ರಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಮೇ ಸಮ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಯು ವಿ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಮಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬೇರೆ ಏನೇನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಅಂಥ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್. ದೆನ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇ ಫಾಲ್ ಡೌನು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಸುಸೈಡಲ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ, ಅವರು ಬೇಲೆ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನಲಿ ಸುಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಹಾರಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಸಂಬಡಿ ಮೈಟ್ ಹವ್ ಪುಶ್ಡ್ ದೆಮ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಸುಸೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟಲ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾಲ್. 3 ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಡೆತ್ ಆನ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಅದಂತೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ಸ್. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಲರ್ನೆಡ್ ಏನು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಇಟ್. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಅದೇ ಥರ. ಮತ್ತು ಫೈನಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅನ್ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ಡ್ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಆರ್ ಬೇರೆ ಡೆತ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ಯಾಥಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಎ ಲಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್. ಸೊ ಇದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಇದೆ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಾನೂನು ಆಗಿದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಬಂದವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನೂನು ಸುವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಅಥವಾ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸು ಆರ್ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಟು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಆರ್ ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಮೆಡಿಕೇರ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಯಾವುದೂ ಮಾಡೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಕಾನೂನಾಗಿದೆ, ಅದು ತಮಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಇದು ಒನ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದಿ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಇಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಅದನ್ನೇ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಪ್ಯಾಥಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಅಟಾಪ್ಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಅಟಾಪ್ಸಿ ಈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ರೂಟೀನಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಏನು ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಆದಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಆದಾಗಂತೂ ವಿ ರೆಫರ್ ಇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಅಟಾಪ್ಸಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಆಸಚ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಡಿಲೇಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೂಡ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಆ ಥರ ಏನು ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವನ್ MLC ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಸುಮಾರು ದಿವಸ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಮೈನರ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಮೇಜರ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ ರಿಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬೋನ್ ಆರ್ ನರ್ವಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಏನೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದಾಗ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನಮಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೇಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ತಾವು ತಮ್ಮ ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿರಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಡೈನ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಫ್ ಈ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ಸ್ ವೂಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ವೂಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್, ಅದು ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ಡೆತ್ ಆದರೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಅಟಾಪ್ಸಿ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋಕೆ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವೂಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಈ ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ನಾವೇನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎನಿ ರೂರಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ದೆನ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೆಫರ್ ಟು ಹೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್, ಏನು MR ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು, ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಫೇಸ್ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ 2 or 3 years. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಕೂಡ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. And the patient will get treatment in different hospitals. He may go to a higher center, 2-3 hospitals ಹೋಗಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅದು ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನಫ್ ಕೇರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಿಕಾಷನ್ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ದೆಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಲಿ. And you should be able to hand over to the investigating officers or the concerned police officers whenever they demand or whenever it is needed. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಲೂಸ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಇದು ಈ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ನಮಗೆ ಈಗ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಓನ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಗೋ ಟು ದಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ದೇ ಸೇ ನೋ ಸರ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಟು ನಿಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೋ ದೇರ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್. So all those treatment records we should bring and give it to the doctor who had initially where it was MLC was registered, and there after seeing all the records he will issue the wound certificate. So this area is which I want all of you so to cooperate, because at the end ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ coordination, interdisciplinary coordination, and the moderator he told communication. I think it is conviction rate, not communication, because I thought whether it is really communication or conviction, because it is a conviction rate. So conviction rates ante ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. conviction rate ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ, ಕಾನೂನುಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದಿಂದ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, that is we call as conviction. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ that is the end result of any criminal process. There it is based on records and based on evidence. ನಮ್ದು ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸರಿ, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ my earlier speaker ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ 39 ಇದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಅಫೆನ್ಸಸ್. 53 ಇದೆ. 53 ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರು. 53A ಇದೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೇಪ್ ಅಕ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ 54 ಇದೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಇದೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ವೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವೆದರ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರ್ ಆರ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ನಿಯರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್, he is duty bound to perform the duties upon a request of the police officer. ಇದು ಅಕ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ರೇಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಅಗೇನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಾ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಹೂ ಶುಡ್ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ರೇಪ್ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ದೆನ್ ಇಫ್ ದಿ ರೇಪ್ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಮೈನರ್, ಅಗೇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್. ದೆನ್ 55A ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಅರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಸೊ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಅರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಇದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್. ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಯಾರ ಕಸ್ಟಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆರಾಮಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಮೆನಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ, ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಟು ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್. ಬಟ್ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಮ್ಮವರು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಟೈಮಿಗೆ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಆರ್ ಹಿ ಮೇಕ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೂಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳು ಇದಾವೆ. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮಿಟ್ ಸೂಸೈಡ್ ಇನ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸಿನ ಅಪರಾಧಿಯನ್ನ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಾಗ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅಲರ್ಟ್. ದೆನ್ 174 ಇದೆ. 174 ಅಂತೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಆಲ್ ಅನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಡೆತ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಇನ್ಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಟು ನೋ ದಿ ಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆತ್, ಟು ನೋ ದಿ ಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆತ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟ್ರೂತ್, ಟು ಎಲಿಸಿಟ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್ ಆರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ರೀಸನ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ದಾಖಲಾತಿಯನ್ನು ಪೊಲೀಸರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. 176 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಇನ್ಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕಸ್ಟೋಡಿಯಲ್ ಡೆತ್ ಆರ್ ಡೆತ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಜೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆತ್ ಆದಾಗ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ 176 ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ IPC ಇದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. 177 ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪನಿಷಬಲ್. ದೆನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ 186 ನೀವು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ, ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ಸಿಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅಪರಾಧ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಲಾ. ಪೊಲೀಸರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 189 ಇದೆ, ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಜುರಿ ಟು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ದಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನರ್ಸಸ್, ಯಾರಾದರೂ ತಾವೇನಪ್ಪ ತಮಗೆ ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈವನ್ ಎನಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಗೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಇದು ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನೀವು ಆನ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ ಅಂತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್, ಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್, ಈ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ರೇಟ್ ವಿಚಾರ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅದು. ದೆನ್ 201 ಅಂತ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಕಾಸಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಸಪಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದಿ ಕಸ್ಟೋಡಿಯನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್. You will be the custodian of the victim or patient or accused. You will be taking care of his health and you will be knowing many personal facts about his health, and you will be creating or generating many medical records. ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಭಾಳ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನೀವು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದು ಏನಾದರೂ ಲಾಸ್ ಆದರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಟು ಅಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್. ನಾಳೆ ಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಹರ್ಡಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಒಮಿಷನ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಟು ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸು. ಒಂದ್ ವೇಳೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನವೆ ಡೇಸ್ ಈ ತರ ನಮ್ಮ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಸಚ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ MLCs. ಬಟ್ MLC ಟೈಮಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಈಗ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲೈಸ್ಡ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಮೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಂಡ್ ಎ ಮೇಲ್ ಟು ದಿ police station, the nearest police station mail ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. and majority of the cases we have got our police OP or police person will be handling there. I think ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ there are instances where willful negligence ಆಗಿದೆ. sometimes we get delayed information, sometimes ಬಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮವರು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ delayed MLCಗಳನ್ನಪ್ಪ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಾರ್ಯರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ತರಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ those are all the things ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. then giving false information is also an offense. then destruction of document, that is medical records ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು ಆ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ another important thing is section 32 ಇದೆ, ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಡೀಪ್ ಇಂಟು ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಡೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಡೆತ್ ಬೆಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು talk or give statement or tell regarding the reasons, cause, anything, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆರ್ ಇಫ್ ಎನಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಸಹಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ತನಿಖಾ ಏಜೆನ್ಸಿಗಳಿಗೆ. ದೆನ್ ದಟ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೊಹಿಬಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ವೈಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೆಡಿಕೇರ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಇದೆ, 2009 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದು ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಸಮ್ ರೈಟಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದೆ ನಾನು, ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೊಚೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್, ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಯಾರು ಟು ಹೂಮ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಈಗ ನಾವು ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನಮಗೂ ಅವರಿಗೆ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಏನು ಈಗ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದವರು ದೇ ಆರ್ ನೊಂದವರು, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಗ್ರೀಫ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಲೈಫ್ ಡೆತ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಫೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೆತ್. ಮತ್ತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಏನಪ್ಪ ತಾಳ್ಮೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ನಮಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಲೂಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಅವರು ಬಂದು ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಎಟ್ ಲಾಸ್, ಅವರು ತೊಂದರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂಡ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ಸೇವ್ ಎನಿಬಡೀಸ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಲೈಫ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಯಾರ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಕರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರದೇ ಆಗಲಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಎ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಮೆಚ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು ಆಲ್. ನೀವು ಏನಪ್ಪ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಮೆಚುರಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್. ನೋ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಪ್ಪು ನಂದು ನಿಂದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದು ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿ ಬೈದಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಲೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಿದಾವ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಾಳ್ಮೆ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅಗೇನ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ದಟ್ ದಿ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ವರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಮೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಇನ್ವೋಕ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ವೋಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಅದು ನೀವು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಫೈನ್. ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಈಚ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್, ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಕಲಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆವಾಗ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಲ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್, ಮೆಡಿಕೇರ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲಿ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲಿ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಲರ್ನ್, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಅಕ್ವೈರ್ ದೋಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಪೇಷಂಟ್, ಟು ಲಿಸನ್, ಟು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹಿಮ್, ಟು ಸೇವ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ದಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಮೋಟೋ. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಜೀವನ ಉಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಆರಾಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಮೋಟೋ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸಾಲ್ವ್. ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಗುಡ್ ಸಮಾರಿಟನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಫ್ ರೋಡ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೈವೇಸ್ ಇಂದ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನಪ್ಪ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಇಫ್ ವಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎನಫ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಹಿಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್, ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಹರಾಸ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಹಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ರಬಲ್ಡ್ ಐದರ್ ಬೈ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬೈ ಎನಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟೀಸ್. ಇದು ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಎವ್ರಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಎವ್ರಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಷನರ್ ಈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಬೌಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಿ ಶಾಲ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಅವನ ಬಿಲ್ಲು ಅವನದು ಇದು ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಅವರನ್ನ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬಂದವರಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫೀಸ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ ಲಾ. ನಿಮ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ, ಗೆಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬೇರ್ ದಿ ಬಿಲ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಅವ್ರ ಗಾರ್ಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ರು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಕೇರ್ ಟೇಕರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ದಿ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್. ಬಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹಿಮ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್. ಅಬ್ಸ್ಕಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಬಂದು ಅಬ್ಸ್ಕಾಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ದೆನ್ ರೆಫರ್ಡ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಡಿಸ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬೂದಿಯಾಳ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಫೈನಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡಿನೈಸ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನೋ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಸೇವ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಲೈಫ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಡೆತ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಮೆಡಿಕೋ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ನೋ. ಡೆತ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಓನ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಬಾಡಿ ಅವರು ಬಹಳ ಆತುರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಕಾಮನ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇವೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ನಾವು. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೈದರ್ ಪೊಲೀಸಿಗೂ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಡೆತ್ ಆದರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೋಮಿಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಲಾ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಹಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ದೇ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ಫುಲಿ ಟೇಕ್ ದಿ ಬಾಡಿ. ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಓವರ್ ದಿ ಬಾಡಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಒಂದು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್. ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಒಂದು ಚನ್ನಗಿರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ತುಂಗಾ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಮೆಡಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಂತು ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿ ಜಿ ಸಾಹೇಬರು, ಈಸ್ ರಿಟೈರ್ಡ್ ಡಿ ಜಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಮರ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಪಾಂಡೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅದು ತುಂಗಾ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಮ್ದು ಡಾಗ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವಾಡ್, ಡಾಬರ್ಮ್ಯಾನ್, ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಡಾಬರ್ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಅದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಡಾಗ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವಾಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಹೇಗೆ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಸೇವ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಒಂದು ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಇದು ದಟ್ ತುಂಗಾ, ಇದು ಡೈಡ್. ಇದು ಇಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇದು ಭಾಳ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಇದು ಸುಮಾರು ಅರೌಂಡ್ 200 to 300 ಕೇಸಸ್ ಪತ್ತೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಈ ಕೇಸು. ಇದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಐ ವಾಸ್ SP ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ MHAದು ಒಂದು K9 ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇದೆ. K9 ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಆರ್ಮಿ ಕರ್ನಲ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈಸ್ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಸೆಂಟರ್. ಆಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಡಾಗ್ಸ್ದು ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ K9 ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅಕ್ನಾಲೇಜ್ಡ್. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಯಿತು, ದಿಸ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಗ್ ತುಂಗಾ. ಏನಾಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ವೆಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 20 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಟ್ರೇಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಇಟ್ ಟ್ರೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ದಿ ಅಕ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 20 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್. 20 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಕ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪತ್ತೆ ಹಚ್ಚಿತು. ಸೊ ಒನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ದಿ ಅನದರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಿ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮು ಆ ಥರ ಆಯ್ತು. ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಡಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟಿಗೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ವಿ ಥಾಟ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಇಂಜುರಿ ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಬಿಟ್ವಿ ನಾವು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಥಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಅಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡೆತ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಡೆತ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ 1 day ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್. ಬಟ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಡೀಪ್ ಹಿಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಡಿ ಬಿದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ದೆನ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಟುಕ್ ಟು ದಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಮಾರ್ಚುರಿಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋದಾಗ ದಟ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ವೆನ್ ಈಗ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಮ್, ಅವಾಗ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಆ ಹೇರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ದೆನ್ ಹಿ ಸೆಡ್ ನೋ ಸರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಗನ್ ಶಾಟ್ ಇಂಜುರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. ವಿ ವರ್ ನಾಟ್ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್. So the forensic doctor told that it is a gunshot injury. So you can see the difference ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ that area surface ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು skull region, head region ಅನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ immediately he called me and told sir it is a gunshot injury ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. Then ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಶಾಕ್ ಆಗಿ we started our investigation. ಅವಾಗ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ದೆನ್ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ದಿಸ್ ಡಾಗು ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಈವ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿ ಟುಕ್ ದಿ ಡಾಗ್ ಟು ದಿ ಸ್ಪಾಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದಾಗ ದಿ ಡಾಗ್ ವೆಂಟ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 20 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ವಿಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಡಾಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ಲೇಡಿ. ದೆನ್ ಶಿ ಸೆಡ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಒಂದು 4-5-6 ಜನ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀ ಕಾಫಿ ತಿಂಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ಗಾಟ್ ಸಸ್ಪಿಷಿಯಸ್. ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. So that is the level of interest or involvement. This is a routine process, but I want to stress and thank the doctor there, and he took so much interest and he in fact he was a cause for detection of that case. So next, so even we got ಈ ತರ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸಸ್ ನಾವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು IML ಒಂದು ಲಿಕ್ಕರ್ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಸ್ಕಿ ಇದು ಬಾಟಲ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಲಿಪ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಈವನ್ ವಿ ಗಾಟ್ ಕ್ಲೂ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ದಟ್ ಬುಲೆಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಹೆಡ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ವಿ ರಿಕವರ್ಡ್ ದಟ್ ವೆಪನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಆರೋಪಿಗಳು ತಂದು ನಾವು ಓವರ್ ನೈಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ಇನ್ನೂ 5 ಕೇಸ್ ಪತ್ತೆ ಆಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ. ಧಾರವಾಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು HBT ಮತ್ತು ರಾಬರಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಕಾಯಿತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಒಂದು ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಪಿಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸ್ಟೋಲನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ. ಅವರು ದೆನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಹುಬ್ಳಿ ಧಾರವಾಡ. ವಿ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ದಿ DCP ದೇರ್. ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ದೆನ್ ಅವರು ವಿ ಗಾಟ್ ದಿ ಬಟ್ ನಂಬರು ಮತ್ತೆ ದಟ್ ವೆಪನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ರಿಕವರಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಪಿಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೈರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸೊ ಫೈನಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ವೆಪನ್ ರಿಕವರಿ ಆಯಿತು. ದೆನ್ ಸ್ಕಲ್ ಇಂದ ಬುಲೆಟ್ ರಿಕವರಿ ಆಯಿತು. ಸೊ 5 ಕೇಸ್ ಪತ್ತೆ ಆಯಿತು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಮೆಡಲ್ ಇದು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ only thing is that I want to stress is the role of forensic medicine or the role of the doctors in conducting the post-mortem examination. As far as my experience goes, we had a wonderful enough doctors. So ನಾನು ಸ್ಟೇಟಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮಾವಳ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಇನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು, ದೆನ್ ಹಾವೇರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸು. ಡೇ ಇನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೇ ಔಟ್ ಅಪಾನ್ ಎ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಬಂದು ನಮಗೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಓವರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್, ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಏನು ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಇರಲ್ಲ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ. ದಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್ ಹಿಡನ್ ಡೀಪ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಏನಪ್ಪ ತಾಳ್ಮೆಯಿಂದ, ಪರಿಶ್ರಮದಿಂದ, ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂದ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್, ಕೋಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ we have to dig the truth. So that's what I want to highlight you all. Then another most important thing ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದಿರಿ interdisciplinary coordination, then conviction rates ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಿರಿ. For that I have added this slide. So conviction rate ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ದು ಬಹಳ ಪಾತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 45 ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸು, ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟು, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವೂಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆತ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಮನ್, ನಾನು ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಆ ಕೇಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ತನಿಖೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ವಿ ಫೈಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಶೀಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ನಾವು ಕೋರ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಆಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಲೂಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಅವಾಗ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಕೂಡ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸು, ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸು, ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸು, ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫು, ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಡ್ ದಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಆ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಡೆಡ್ ಬಾಡಿಯನ್ನು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದವ್ರು ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕೋರ್ಟು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯು ಮೇ ಫೀಲ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋರ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಸಮ್ವೇರ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕರೇಜ್ಡ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ದ ಟ್ರೂತ್. ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಿ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ಕ್ವಿಸಿಟಿವ್ನೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟಿಮಿಡೇಟ್. ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್, ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಿಗಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರೂತ್, ಓನ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಸತ್ಯವನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬಯಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಸತ್ಯವನ್ನ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. neither the judge is expert, nor the advocate is expert, nor the police is expert. So you are the experts, it is your domain, and you are the one who has to say finally. So they may question you, they may confuse you, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದೀನಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಬಹಳ ಬೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ವಿತ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ದೇ ಡಿಪೋಸ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಕರಣದಲ್ಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್. ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾನೂನುಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ವಿ ಆಲ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಡೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಶೋ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದಿ ಜಡ್ಜ್. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಏನು ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ 4 ಗೋಡೆಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದಿ ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಲಾ. ಏನು ಕಾನೂನುಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಟ್ರೂತ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್ ಶುಡ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರದ್ದು ರೋಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಶೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರ್ದು ಇದೆ ರೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು FSL ನಿಮಗೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್, ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬೊರೇಟರೀಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಹೈದರಾಬಾದ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತೋರಿದ್ರೆ ಮಡಿವಾಳದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅವರ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಕ್ವಾರ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ದು ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬೊರೇಟರಿ. ನೌ ಡೇಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ರೀಜನಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಹುಬ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಗುಲ್ಬರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿದಾವೆ. ದೆನ್ NICFS ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಾಲಜಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ರೋಹಿಣಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯರ್ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಾಲಜಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ CCMB, ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬಯಾಲಜಿ ಇದೆ. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಹೈಯರ್ ರೆಫರಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾವು ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಕೇಸಸ್ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ದ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಆರ್ ಆನಿಮಲ್ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ ಇದೆಯೋ, ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂ ಇದೆಯೋ, ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ DNA, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ DNA. ಇಂಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ CCMB, ವೇರ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಆಲ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ DNA ಅಂಡ್ RNA. ದೆನ್ CFSL ಇದೆ, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್, ಇದು ಫೈನಲ್ ಸೇ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅವರು. ಈ ಒಂದು ರೀಜನಲ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಸೆಂಡ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಯಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಟು CFSL, ಅಂಡ್ CFSL ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಫೈನಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಮತ್ತು NFS ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಗಾಂಧಿನಗರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಓವರ್. ನಾವು ಸುಮಾರು 8 ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಆನರಬಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಬಂದು ಧಾರವಾಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸೆಂಟರ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಓಪನ್ NFSU. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಬಿಸೈಡ್ಸ್ ಅವರ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಓಪನ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಆಫ್ NFSU. ದೆನ್ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಸೀನ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಕೇಡರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಅವರ DG. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಘಟನೆ ಆದರೆ, ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಇನ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆದರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕೇಡರ್ ಒಂದು ಸೀನ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಕ್ರೂಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ವೇರ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಮನ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅವರು ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ರೆಂಡರ್ ದೇರ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸು. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ, ಹೈದರಾಬಾದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಓನ್ ಸೆಟಪ್. ಅವ್ರು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ದಿ ಸ್ಪಾಟು. ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೋದು ಫಾರಿನ್ ಅಥವಾ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇದೆ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಪ್ಪ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸೆಟಪ್. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಏನಪ್ಪ ದಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟು. We have got DNA center ಇದೆ ಮಡಿವಾಳದಲ್ಲಿ. We have got all divisions in forensic science. So we have got expertise in forensic science, DNA, physical, chemical, biological ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟಲ್ಲಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ರೇಟು ಹೇಳೋದಾದರೆ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಸೆಡ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಆ್ಯಾವ್ರೇಜ್ IPC ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ರೂಟೀನ್ ಏನು ಬಾಡಿಲಿ ಅಫೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 57 ಇದೆ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ 51 ಇದೆ 2021 ಡಾಟಾ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ 57 ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, 43 ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ 43 ಜನ ಮರ್ಡರ್ ಆದವರು ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪನಿಷ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಓನ್ಲಿ 57 ಆರ್ ಪನಿಷ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸೊ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ರೇಟ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೇಸಸ್ಸು ನಮಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾವ, ಕಾನೂನು ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಕಾನೂನು ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ತೊಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಬೈನ್ಡ್ ಎಫರ್ಟು. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನು, ಪ್ರಾಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್, ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿ ಆಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟೆಡ್ ಎಫರ್ಟು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಆಸ್ ಎ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಸೆಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇನೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರ ವಿಕ್ಟಿಮ್ ಡ್ರಿವನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮೆನಿ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಹೋಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಹೋಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಲೂಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟು. ಅವರು ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಬೇಕು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬಿಡಿ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದೋಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಗೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ಗಿನ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಸತ್ಯಾಂಶ ಏನಿದೆ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರೂತ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲೇ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದ ಆನರಬಲ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇ ಅವರ್ ರೋಲ್. ದೆನ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಕನ್ವಿಕ್ಷನ್ ರೇಟ್ಸು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತವ. ದೆನ್ ದಿ ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೊಲೀಸು, ಡಾಕ್ಟರು, ನರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದೇರ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೈನಲಿ ದಿ ಬಾರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಚ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಧೀಕರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ಲಾ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಯಾರಿಗಾದರೂ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಕಾನೂನುಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ನೋಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಲಾ ಇನ್ ಟು ದೇರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಹರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ರೂಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ರೂಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಪಕ್ಕಾ ಬರೆದಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫಾಲೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಲಾಸ್. ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಿಗೆ ನಾವು ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ರೋಲನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ ಅವರ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾ, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಗೆಜೆಟ್ ಇದೆ, ದಟ್ ಗುಡ್ ಸಮರಿಟನ್ ಗೆಜೆಟ್. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಶೋ ಯು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನೂ ತುಂಬ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಕಾರ್ಯಗತಗೊಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನೋಟಿಫೈಡ್ ಎ ಗೆಜೆಟ್. ಟಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಿಮ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಟಿಲ್ ಎ ಫೈನಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನು, ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟವಾದ ಕಾನೂನು ಆಗುವವರೆಗೆ ಇದು ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಫೈನಲಿ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ತಲೆಗಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ಸ್ ರೋಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ಈ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೇರಳ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾವು ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯುನೋ ದ ಕೇರಳ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೇಮಸ್ ಫಾರ್, ಎದಕ್ಕೆ ಫೇಮಸ್ ಇದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? ದಿ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೆಡಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏಷ್ಯಾ ಆರ್ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಕೇರಳ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರು ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹೈಲಿ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಇದೆ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಏನು ಈ ನರ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ವೈ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವೆನ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒನ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕೇರ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್. They are working in Israel, they are working in Europe, they are working in West Asia. ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಗುಲ್ಬರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಜೋಳ ಖಾರದ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ತಿಂದವ್ರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಮೇ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಸೇಮ್. ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಫಾರ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, there is a scope for improvement, because ultimately you have to become professional nurses or professional paramedics or professional doctors or professional policemen. So when the question of professional ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮ್ದು ಬೇಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. We have to be trained and we have to learn, we have to acquire the extra skills, special skills, and we have to deliver the right things and what is required of us. ಸೊ ಅಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು, ನೀವೇನಪ್ಪ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮದು ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ರೋಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಯು ಆರ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಸೊ ಲೈಫ್ ಈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಷಿಯಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಯು ಆಲ್ ನೋ ದಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಜನ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ದಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಎಪಿಡೆಮಿಕ್, ಅದೇ ಕೊರೋನಾ. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಎಪಿಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಎಪಿಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಡಿಸಾಸ್ಟರ್, ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಅವಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ನಾವು ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಭಾಳ ಹತ್ತಿರದಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಆದಾಗ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಭಾಳ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸೋ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ನಮಗೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಎಂಜಾಯಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್, ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸೋ ಡಿಯರ್ಲಿ. ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಟೀಲ್ರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬೀಮ್ಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಅವರು ಈ ಮೈಟ್ ಹವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ಡ್, ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ ಮಾಡೋರು ದಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಟರ್ನಿಟಿ ಹೂ ಸೇವ್ಡ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರಾಂಟೆಡ್, because the natural resources are natural resources. You cannot create a drop of water also. ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ರಾಕೆಟ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, 2 ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್, 1 ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಸೇರ್ಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಲಿ. ವಾಟರ್ ಈಸ್ H2O. ಇವನ್ ನಾವು ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೇಡಿಕೆಗಳು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟು, ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಡೇ ಇನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡೇ ಔಟ್ ಬರ್ತವೆ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ವೈರಸ್, ಮ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ ವೈರಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಡಿವಾಸ್ಟೇಟೆಡ್ ದಿ ಹೋಲ್ ಹ್ಯುಮ್ಯಾನಿಟಿನೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋ ಲೆಕ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಫಾರ್ಚುನೇಟ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಎನಿ ಟೈಮ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಎನಿ ಟೈಮ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನೇಚರಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗೋದು ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್. There is ಏನಪ್ಪ 1000% or 100% scope for genetic mutations. Genetic mutations happen in different ways. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ವೈರಸ್, ಮ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ ವೈರಸ್ or ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವೈರಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ or ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಫುಡ್ ಚೈನ್, ಹೆಂಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಹೌ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ or ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ಲಿ. GMOs ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಮತ್ತು ಹೊಸ ಹೊಸ ಈ ತಳಿಗಳು, ಫುಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಈವನ್ ಟುಡೇ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ಲಿ ಅಸೆಸ್ ಅದರದ್ದು ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಒಂದು ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ತಿಂದರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಖಚಿತವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಇದು. ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ಸುಪ್ರೀಮ್ ಈಸ್ ನೇಚರ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನಪ್ಪ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಬಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಫೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಓಪನ್ ಮೈಂಡೆಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಬೆಟರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಕೇಳಿ.
Hello. Now session is open. If anybody have any queries or any doubts, please. I think everybody it's cleared with the topic. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request our Somshekar sir to conclude our session.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. It was a very interesting session and comprehensive view of medical and nursing professional related to justice and how it can lead to a case where it can be convicted. Sir has elaborated very well. To add on to the only 1 or 2 points, okay, because medical evidence, whatever is collected from the hospital, that will be produced in the court after 2 years or 3 years. So every evidence what is collected at the nick or fraction of movement, it becomes very important. The maximum staff who are working with any victim of assault or injury or poisoning, sexual assault, everybody comes to the casualty. So the maximum staff at casualty is a nursing fraternity. Okay. So they should be aware that whatever the evidence they collect would be useful after 5 years or 3 years. And it should be in such a way that not even a minute evidences which is collected is lost or destroyed or decayed. So you will have to exercise caution in such a way that the chain of custody is maintained. Okay, you will have to be taking responsibility and accountability of that evidence, write it down and hand it over to the next level of person or the doctor or who is authority to sign for that evidence. This is what I will have to just emphasize now. And with this, we'll conclude this session. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Adding to this sir's points, I was also worked as a staff nurse in casualty, sir. As you said, the vital role in this situation is by a nurse only, because once we get the case in casualty, we have to inform to the medical officer or casualty medical officer. Before that, we are the one who handling and seeing the case, and that time we must have all the evidence and all things. And sir's session was very informative, because sir was saying that people are not ready to help the victim, accident cases, and especially because of that only to help that such patients. Harish scheme was brought by the state government to help the needy person, not to ask money or the one who brought or from the patient. Later on, they can claim the scheme and get the money of the respective hospitals, those who are treating. So it was very informative, sir, and thank you very much, sir. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our organizing committee members, including A.B. Patil sir, Dr. Pushpa madam, and our another, please come and join us for felicitation, and our chairpersons also. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I request moderator of the session, Mr. Vinay PM sir, to give away the certificates to the chairperson. Thank you, sir. I request the delegates to fill the feedback form of session 4 and session 5. That was the first session and second session of this day. Kindly note, paper presentation delegates, kindly give your content at the registration counter with Miss Netra, PG student of College of Nursing, BIMS, Belagavi. Now, let's disperse for the tea break and come back within 10 minutes.
Sir, pin pin. ಪಿನ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಡಬಲ್ ಒನ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಟು. ಟೀ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
We kindly note, we will start the session, the last session of the day and last session of the conference, that is the sixth session on forensic psychiatry nursing, that was related to patient approach, patient communication and legalities. I request all the delegates to come inside and occupy your seats. I request all the delegates to come inside and occupy your seats. We are going to start the session right now. ಫೋಟೋ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರ Yeah, I have enough two types. I request all the delegates to come inside and occupy your seats. ಮೂರು ಸಲ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಮೂರು ಸಲ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತುಪ್ಪದ ಸರಿ. My kind request, the delegates who are sitting at the back seats kindly occupy the front seats. My humble request for the delegates who are sitting at the back seats, kindly request the empty seats in the front. Come and occupy the front seats which are vacant. Good day to all gathered here. We are at the end session, that was the sixth session. We will be starting soon, and I request to moderate this session Mr. Siddhavirappa Tuppat sir, Assistant Professor, College of Nursing, BIMS, Belagavi. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all. So myself, Siddhavirappa Tuppat. I'm a moderator for this sixth session. So we have reached our last session of today's national conference. So I have with us today Mr. Chandrasekhar Bidri and Mr. Sudhindra as a chairperson for this sixth session. So I welcome you, sir. Please occupy your chairs. Mr. Chandrasekhar Bidri and Mr. Sudhindra. I welcome Dr. Balmurugan, sir, to occupy your chair on the dais, on the stage, sir. Please welcome, sir. Please occupy your chair, sir. Sixth session, Forensic Psychiatric Nursing, Patient Approach, Communication and Legalities. So to present this session, we have a very eminent personality, Dr. Balmurugan, sir. So he's a Assistant Professor of Nursing, National Apex Coordinating Center of Telemanas Nimans, Bengaluru. We welcome you, sir, to present the session. So I want to read the brief introduction about our speaker today. Sir is a Joint Secretary of ISPN, Indian Society for Psychiatric Nurses, India. Please welcome, sir. Chandrasekhar Bidri, sir. Please occupy your chair. Yes. Sir has done his BSc in Tamil Nadu, Dr. MGR Medical University, Chennai. MSc Mental Health Nursing in Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, and PhD from Indian Nursing Council. Sir has also done MBA in Health Service Management, Anna University, Chennai. Sir has also done the Diploma in Statistics and a short course in Educational Methodology from RGHS, Bengaluru. Diploma in Community Mental Health Nurses in Nimans Digital Academy, Bengaluru. And sir is a master trainer for RGHS Education Methodology course. And sir is a trainer in TOT, that is Training of Trainers program on primary promotion of mental health of healthcare providers during COVID-19 pandemic. And sir is a trainer in BSc Nursing Curriculum Implementation also. And then sir is a expert in sectoral working group, member of expert committees for NACS Manual for Health Sciences College, and then subject matter expert in nursing for Manipal Global Assessment Company. And then sir has won first prize in the poster making contest on World Suicide Prevention Day organized by the Department of Mental Health Education, Nimans, in September 2021. And sir has also won a third prize in the poster making contest on Mental Health for All, organized by Department of Mental Health Education, Nimans, in October 2021. Sir has won a first prize in scientific poster competition at International ISPN Indian Conference 2017, Nimans, Bengaluru. And sir has also won a first prize in scientific paper presentation at National ISPN Indian Conference 2020, Muradabad. And then sir is an editor for Indian Journal of Psychiatric Nursing and official publication of Indian Journal of Psychiatric Nurses. Then associate editor, sir is also associate editor in RGHS Journal of Nursing Sciences. And sir has written 3 textbooks. One of the reviewers of South Asian edition of Porter and Perry's Fundamentals of Nursing Elsevier publications. Sir is a certified Tamil translator in Swayam NPTEL course. And sir is having 4 projects in hand. And sir has published 55 research articles in national and international journals. And sir has presented 28 papers and posters in national and international conferences. And sir is a resource person in 115 conferences, workshops, and continuing nursing education programs. Mostly it is 116th, it seems. Yes, sir? Yes, sir. We need many more, sir. You deserve it. Yes, sir is a life member of World Federation of Mental Health, that is WFMH. And he is also a life member of International Stress Management Association, ISMA. And also a member of Indian Society for Psychiatric Nurses, ISPN. Society of Indian Neurosciences Nurses, SINN, and Trained Nurses Association of India, and Nursing Council's Karnataka Nursing Council. With this brief introduction, I welcome you for presentation, sir. Please present your session, sir. Stage is all yours, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello. Check.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. The paper presentation delegates kindly be ready soon after the lunch without delay.
Hello. Check. Hello. Check. Am I audible? Last. Okay. Very good afternoon to all. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes. Okay. Shall we play a small game? Yes. Okay. Very small game only. When I say one, what do you have to do? Just clap twice. Yes. When I say one, you have to clap twice. When I say two, you have to clap only once. All of you ready? Two. Yes. Ready, all of you? One. Yeah, little bit. I need a more sound with a single sound. Okay. Two. Yes. Two. One. 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 Two. One. Two. One. Yes. Thank you all. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I think a few people are settling. Please take your seats. Yeah. So I think hope all of you have mobile with you. Am I right? Yes. Just you can scan this QR code. I will ask some questions and then I'll give prize also. All of you ready? Yes. Scan this QR code or you can type slido.com. You can see here. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Let them know. So there will be, you can see here, slido.com. You can type that slido.com in Google or you can scan this QR code. Then enter the code 144. Enter the code 144. If possible, you can scan it. Otherwise, not a problem. Just in Google type slido.com. SLIDO. Slido.com. And it will ask you for a code. Just enter 144. So I think most of you got. Am I right? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. So we can start first question. Yes, sir. You can start that first question. Yes. Just you can respond in your mobile. You can respond in your mobile. Just this question, I am a male or female, that's all. Very tough question, no? Yeah. So 16 members responded. 16 people responded. 29 responded. 33 responded. Very good. 39 people responded. Nice. 46 people responded. Yes. 48, 50, very good. Yes, 55, 57. Yes. 58 people responded. 61. So either you can scan or you can type slido.com and enter 144. This is there, 144 you can enter. Yes, 72 people responded. Yeah, 78. 86 members responded. Very good. 89, 90. I think we are going to hit century. Am I right? I heard more than 500 people are registered for this conference. 96 members responded. Yes. 99. Yes. 101. Yes. Shall we stop here? Shall we go to next question? I think most of you are responding till 106. That's fine. Good. Yes, sir. Please, next question, sir. 112. Shall we wait for two more minutes? Yeah. 121. Yes. 126. Yeah. So I think we can go to next question. Yeah. So just type where are you from. You can type there, it will come. You can type just where are you from. Belgaum, Belgavi, Raichur, Kashmir, very good. Anantapur, Vijayapura, Dharwad, Chikmagalur, Kogak, Nipani, yes, Kalaburgi, Belgaum, Karwar, Davangere, yes, Haveri. Somebody is typing mail here, okay? Somebody type mail here, huh? Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Yes. Yes, yeah, very good. So I think mostly, most of us, we are from Karnataka, and we have few people, Kashmir and other places also we can see some people. Yes, very good. Shall we go to next question? Yes? Yes, sir. This is most important question. Okay? Do you experience or did you experience stress in your life? Please respond, okay? Please respond. Yes, 96 yes only, yes? Yes. 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 Yeah. So from this what we understand? Mostly all of us were having stress. What to do? Next question please. Yes. What you do at the time of stress? Just type. I'll sleep, I'll listen music, I'll talk to my friends, I'll talk to my parents. Yeah, music, dance, sleep, prayer, listening to music, sleeping, very good. Yes, yes, have patience, very good. Dance, sleeping, chanting, scolding my wife, okay? Very dangerous, okay? Very dangerous, yes, okay. Eat food, somebody said eat food, okay, yes. Another 40 minutes we'll go for lunch, yes. And talk to my mother, very good. And walking and talking. So walking and talking. Watch TV to see girls, somebody said. And he may not know after that the stress will be more, okay? Yes, yes, okay, yeah. Meditation, dance. So what does that bigger letter indicates? The most people are trying this. You only type that. Most of you are trying to listen music and sleep. And music is have a better point here. Okay. So what do you understand from this question? So what is the learning from last two questions? So first question what we learned? All of us are having stress. Am I right? And second question what we learned? We have something to handle stress. So stress is there, at the same time we are doing something to handle the stress. Please, the next question, sir. Yes. Now just remember, you don't have that facility like you want to sleep, you are not getting sleep. You want to have food, you are not having food. You want to talk to my mother, you are unable to talk to your mother. Is there any helpline from government to support when you are in stress? If you know, you can type. Yes, 122, 14416, 143. Somebody said 143, okay? Yes, 110. Yes, 2114. Hey, 143 means I don't know, okay? Yes, I don't know, okay? Yeah, then don't know, 777, 1775, 108. 108 for what? Ambulance, yes. Yes, 143 and 100. 100 is for what? Our SP sir will come, okay? Yes? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Very good. Yes. Okay. So I'm very, very happy to see here. So that is 14416 is the National Tele Mental Health Helpline number. I'm very happy to see that awareness what you got. Because from this exercise what we understand, we are trying hard. I am from Telemanas. Okay. I am representing nursing in the National Telemental Health Program where we are trying to manage the program all over India. So throughout the country we are responsible to run this program, and we are very happy to see here most of you know this number 14416. Thank you. With this we'll start our don't close the app. At last we have some questions also. So with this we'll go to our today's session. So remember 14416 is the national helpline number. Yes, I will stop this and we'll switch to our PPT. This one. Yeah. Okay. So last 2 days we are discussing about something called forensic and forensic and forensic. And last 2 classes also know something more serious, no? Some first session advocates said what all things we should do. And last session SP sir told very serious things to us what we're supposed to do in the crime scenes. Am I right? And now this session is a little bit more focused on mental health, especially like a forensic psychiatric nursing. Okay. So let's talk about this. So next 20 minutes what we're going to do is we'll touch up in these areas. I think what is forensic nursing, what is forensic psychiatric nursing, what type of patients we handle, what is the role as a communication and that approach what we do, then legalities in India, then finally we'll go with the few challenges faced by our psychiatric nurses. I think I can say still we are in the baby step. We are starting forensic nursing here, forensic psychiatric nursing in India. There's a long way to go, but still let us start from a baby step. So as you know, forensic nursing. So forensic nursing, when it happens, is where the legal system and health system intersects. Both legal and health intersects. That time the word forensic comes, where we need a person who know both knowledge of health as well as legal. If you see here, it is the application of nursing process to public or a legal proceedings. So we are going to apply our nursing knowledge to public or legal proceedings. The application of forensic healthcare in scientific investigation. So this our knowledge will be helpful in the scientific investigation of a trauma or death, as a speaker said, an accident where it may be an homicide, an intentional accident, or maybe a very simple plain accident. So that will help us to investigate. Then violence have happened in the home or outside. The people come with the injury to the hospital. Then criminal activity, liability and accidents. So in these areas, we are going to help in the investigation process with the knowledge what we have as a nurse and the criminal, legal awareness what we have. So that specialty we call it as forensic nursing. When you come to forensic psychiatric nursing, what it is, here we are trying to integrate the psychiatric nursing knowledge what we have. Basically, the knowledge about mental health, nursing philosophy and theory with knowledge of mental health as well as the knowledge of potentially dangerous behavior. So these are 2 important areas we need for a psychiatric nurse or psychiatric mental health and forensic nurse, where we should manage the behavior of violence and justice information what we should have, where the location contains enhanced security for patients. So here the patients will be in a place where it is more secure. Nothing but a jail. Nothing but a jail. Held under the authority of criminal justice system. So here a person is in criminal justice system in a secure place where he needs mental health support. That time we have to provide mental health support. For that we need a group of nurses. Those nurses have to go for this specialized program. I am trying to tell you. As per the Mental Health Act, you know who is a psychiatric nurse? A recent Mental Health Care Act 2017. A psychiatric nurse, a person who finished GNM, BSc are called as psychiatric nurses. Because we don't have that much manpower to create a specialized psychiatric nurse in India. That much is required for a country like India with 140 crores of population. So the present legislation says a person who finished GNM, because we are studying 60 hours of psychiatry. A person finished a BSc nursing, studying 90 hours of psychiatry, plus 270 hours of practical. They are also considered as a psychiatric nurse, legally are permitted to work in a psychiatric hospital. So in that condition, imagine the specialization: nurse, forensic nurse, and forensic psychiatric nurse. So long way to go, but let us have a start here. So here what we are trying to do is, our psychiatric knowledge will be helpful to treat a person with mental illness who committed a crime. Next, we can see the type of patients we get. Majorly, two type of patients we handle. First one is a person with mental illness who committed a crime. So basically, he is a patient with mental illness, then he committed a crime. So that person will be under judicial custody and he needs some psychiatric help and treatment. So that kind of patients we have to take care of it. Second will be a person convicted already. During the period of trial or conviction time, he became mentally ill. So a person already, we call it as a mentally ill prisoners. A person who is in a jail, prison, after the prison admission, he became mentally sick. So we'll get these two kind of patients that they need some kind of mental support. So for them, we should deliver appropriate mental service. So what we do here? So mainly our role in this is, basically, as we know, communication is the major role of a psychiatric nurse. So let's start with first one. It talks about assessment. So here the psychiatric nurses play a major role in assessing the individual with person mental illness in terms of a person in the judicial custody. So first assess for the risk of and violence. A risk for an violence and aggression. Whether the person is risk to himself or herself, or a person is risk to others. Others in the sense maybe a fellow mates in the jail or fellow mates in the ward, or police people, those who are safeguarding the prisoners, or healthcare professionals in the psychiatric setup where the people getting treatment. So first and major task of a psychiatric nurse in this area is assessment of risk. Risk for an violence, risk for an injury to the patient himself or injury to others. Then second most important point is we should know their basic knowledge of the previous behaviors. That is the reason for committing this crime. So what is the type of crime, how it was committed, what is the motto, or all those things we should know. So based on this information, we can deliver a better care, or we can avoid the recidivism, repetition of the same offense in the future. Those things can be avoided if you know about the behavior of the particular person in depth. So these are two major areas we should focus at the time of assessment, assessing for the risk of having a violence or aggression, at the same time knowing in depth about the behavior happened. Because of that, he is in the judicial system. So these two things as a nurse in this area, we should do it first. Then we'll go for an important area, that is therapeutic nurse-patient relationship. As I told you earlier, communication is a treatment in psychiatry. Relationship is a treatment in psychiatry. So when you're taking care of a person with mental illness, with some kind of criminal background, it is very tough for us to do it. But as a professional, this is our duty to maintain a therapeutic nurse-patient relationship. Because through this relationship only we develop a trust. By developing trust, we can gain a lot of confidence over the patient and get more information. And that will help us to treat the person in a better way. So this is the whole aim of maintaining a therapeutic nurse-patient relationship in this setup. Then most important point is safety and security. Safety and security. As I told you earlier, this is a very, very big concern in this setup, where the safety of the patient, that is a person with mental illness, as well as the inmates, as well as the healthcare professionals. So everybody's safety needs to be ensured. That will be done by providing a proper assessment and predicting what may be the next, which situation may trigger this kind of aggression to a particular inmate of this prison or a psychiatric ward with person with mental illness in the prisons. So that way we should ensure that safety and security of the each and every person in the setup where the care is delivered. Then we can see here Another most important thing is while managing the aggression, first important task is de-escalation. So de-escalation of crisis. So here crisis, don't think that crisis is something very big event should happen. So previously a lot of cases we discussed, a person, I think one of you also asked, a person trying to end his life in the ward, that's a crisis. A person trying to end his life in the ward is a crisis. A person becoming violent is a crisis. A person trying to harm the other person is a crisis. So we need not to wait the crisis should happen. So as a psychiatric mental health nurses, as I told you, by maintaining therapeutic relationship, we can able to observe this person may be aggress next 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So by making a complete observation, we can identify the triggers and we can identify the common basic symptoms. Example like a person will not get aggressive suddenly. He may show a few kind of manifestations like restlessly walking like me here and there. Yes. Then having a loud voice, talking to other friends, he may speak very loud. It may not be usual before. So like this few symptoms we'll be able to identify, and definitely we can able to prevent such crisis in this situation. But sometime it happens, that time also we have to handle it, that we see next slide. So once we identify this is going to happen, so first we have to start with the de-escalation process. So de-escalation process in the sense where we have to try to talk to the patient, a person with mental illness, and try to understand and try to give some time. Mostly or most of the time, when will the person will get angry in the sense when the next person is not listening to me. So he'll get angry because nobody is listening. So that time, in a therapeutically, if you say that, okay, I'm here to listen to you. If you want anything, let us sit and discuss. Let us talk. So the verbal de-escalation will help around 60 to 70% of the people to calm down. So 60 to 70% of people we can reduce only with use of verbal de-escalation process, so that we can prevent the further damages to the human and other properties of the hospital. So that needs to be done. Sometimes it may not be possible. So that time we'll go for other methods to safeguard the patient as well as the people working around with the patients. It may be like management of violence and aggression. So we can try with the physical restraints. Most of the time it is not acceptable, or we can say as per the Mental Care Act, it should not be used without a proper judgment. So we have to use very judicially physical aggression. So when there is a physical aggression, we can go for a restraints, seclusion. Then we have a very good treatment. Like next we can have the pharmacological managements where we can provide a chemical restraints. So most of the patients with this kind of aggressive behavior, they will be already given some kind of antipsychotics drugs. So those antipsychotics drugs will helpful to maintain his aggression naturally. Sometimes we may have SOS orders also. I think you know all of you, those who work in the psychiatric hospital and psychiatric area, you experienced. So we know the effect of haloperidol. So as an emergency, immediately we load 5 mg haloperidol and then we'll give IV infusion. Immediately the patient will be calmed down. Meaning is they'll go for sleep. So the next 20-30 minutes, no, we can able to manage the situation. So like this, there are a lot of interventions are available pharmacologically to manage this aggression. So that should be used very cautiously. And as I told you, it will be already given priorly. The meaning is, we suspect the person may be high risk of having violence. They already might be prescribed antipsychotics. So those drugs we can give in SOS also wherever it needed. So the nurses are given SOS order so that they need not to wait for prescription from the doctor. Immediately they can administer haloperidol, lorazepam when the patient is showing this kind of aggressive behaviors. Next most important point is documentation. So as I told you earlier, in the last two sessions also, maintaining records is one of the legal duty of a nurse working in any area, since it is the prison related area where the documentation plays a very, very major role. Whatever the activity you are doing, especially in terms of de-escalation or in terms of a physical restraint or a pharmacological restraint, that time a complete neat details should be documented in the patient records, because all these are the evidence for the court. So we should maintain a very proper neat documents related to the patient care activities. And another most important thing as a psychiatric forensic mental health nurse, we should know about the prison culture also. The meaning is what is the routines of a prison. So when they will go, what type of person will go to be trial and convicted. So those kind of formalities we should know. And if a patient get admitted from the prison, how to discharge the person. So that's procedures, all those details we should be aware when we are trying to handle this kind of patients. Is it clear? Yes? Yeah. So next we'll come to Indian context where legalities, if you say, in general, as a nurse, we are bound to provide a compassionate care. That is our legal responsibility of a nurse. So when we took oath as a nurse, no, that is from that time onwards, we are bound, legally bound to deliver compassionate care to the person, anybody. It may be a person with crime or without crime. So anybody, this is our legal duty to provide compassionate care. Then second most important related to this is gather evidence. So I think last session Dr. Anjalal also might be told you yesterday, and today in 2 sessions also they discuss about lots about this evidence. So as a nurse, we are when we are the first responder, we should able to gather evidence which may be useful, as sir said, maybe after 2 years also. So that's one of our legal responsibility. We should not say that I don't know about this. So evidence is, when it comes to in our line, we should able to gather and maintain what I can say for 2 to 3 years of time. Then sometimes we should be there in the court to testify. The evidence what we gathered, what we as a witness, what we have discussed, those things needs to be testified in the court at times. So these are 3 important legalities in general, that is providing a passionate care to the person, whoever may be. Second, gather evidence in terms of forensic related. And third one is, in case of a trial, we have to be the court may ask summoners to testify our evidences in the court. And when it comes to India, so I would like to highlight 3 important acts here. First one is Mental Health Care Act 2017. So this act, so last one we discussed about the suicide, no? So from this act onwards, suicide is decriminalized. So before this, we had a 1987 Mental Health Act where suicide was criminal offense. Are you able to follow me? Suicide was a criminal offense. As per the law, a person trying to end his life is committing a crime, so he may be punished. But unfortunately, what I can say, there is no single case registered under this act. Till 2017, there was no single case. And people from mental health argued that it's not because he is committing crime, this is because of his stress, he is unable to manage it, so he is ending his life. So it needs to be decriminalized. So from 2017 onwards, suicide is not criminal offense in India. So it is decriminalized. So please aware that. And next, we have 2 important rights are introduced in this act. One we call it as advance directives. So advance directive in the sense, any adults can write in advance. Suppose all of us were here, I can write now. If I get mentally ill, I can write how I supposed to be treated, at the same time how I suppose not to be treated. So I can write and I can submit this document to a mental health authority, state mental health authority. There we have a review board. So that application will be stored in that mental review board as a kind of advance directives. So after 10 years or 15 years, suppose I am getting mentally ill. So this advance directive will help the treating team to handle this person. So we should not violate this advance directives. This is one of the rights given in this act. That is advance directive. Just like a will, parents are making will about their property. Similarly, a person, any major individual adults can make these advance directives. 2 things we can include. One, how I supposed to be treated. Second, how I supposed not to be treated. So these 2 things can be added in this advance directives. Second, in this is we call it as nominated representatives. I can nominate somebody. If in case I am becoming mentally ill, she is the person, he is the person who has to decide on behalf of me about my treatment. So that can be written, documented and submitted to the state mental health authority, and review board will be maintain this document. So like these 2 important things added in this Mental Health Care Act. One is advance directives, second one is nominated representative. Along with that, 10 rights are added. So these rights were not included in the previous act, Mental Health Act 1987, whereas specifically 10 rights are given in this Mental Health Act for the person with mental illness, starting from the previous discussion only. Right for treatment. So I should have the right to get the mental health treatment, and right to refuse treatment also. So I can refuse the treatment, that is my right. So that was a continuous previous session discussion. We can't force treatment on anybody unless otherwise a person is willing to take treatment. At the same time, in terms of mental health, where the person is not having insight, that time the law permits the nominated representatives or majors or relatives. They can take decision on behalf of this person because they are not having insight. So like this, 10 rights are given in this act, very specific to person with mental illness. Then we have few more things in this act about admission. So here we have mainly two kinds of admission. One we call it as independent admissions, where I have insight, I can go and get admitted in a psychiatric hospital where I can get treated. Second, we call it a supported admission. The supported admission should not be for more than 30 days. Should be for less than 30 days. It should be done by a person with mental illness where I can't able to take decision. On behalf of me, somebody else, my relatives or parents or my friends or nominated representative, have taken decision for the admission. And it should not be for more than 30 days. Only 30 days we can admit this patient under this section. That is supported admission. If you want, we can go for the next section where this supported admission more than 30 days. Again, it should have another process where the two psychiatrists should examine, certify that this person needs admission for more than 30 days. So like this, we have few regulations are made. In terms of forensic, what happens? The court will direct the admission process here. A prisoner became mentally ill, the court will give direction to the hospital to get admit this person. So from court, we'll get a reception order. From the reception order, we'll admit the patient in the psychiatric ward in the hospital. It will be treated. Then it will produce the person to the court, and court will send the person back to prison. So this is the process of admission for person with mental illness in the prison. Please remember, if you are handling a person with mental illness in terms of criminal background, this kind of prisoners, make sure that you are maintaining a proper document and sending him back to prison only. And don't discharge him as like discharging other patients. So this is another important point, we should take care of it. Then another act, if you see, most important act is, what is this? POCSO Act. That is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. So 2012. So here the most important point for nurses here is, please imagine if a child got exposed to a sexual abuse, what the child will do? Yes? The child will report to parents. Okay? So what parents should do? Yeah, so parents may support them. But in most of the cases, what happens? They may not support. In the sense, why should I suffer? Why should my family suffer? So they'll keep it in blank. That is fine with them. But as per this act, what it says, any adults who come across a situation where they suspect child sexual abuse, that is responsibility of this adult to report to police. It's not the child should report to police. It is a responsible adult. Imagine we are working as a nurse and we come across a child in our hospital, a ward, where we suspect a child is having some kind of symptoms of abuse. So what is our duty? We should communicate this to police. That is our responsibility. If you are practicing independently, you should independently communicate to a police, or if you are practicing in an organization, institution, you should inform to the concerned authority. As sir told, mostly now they have all the police OPs are there, outposts are there, so that they can communicate the information to this police. So remember, this is a responsibility of the adult. The justice system is giving responsibility to the ownership to the adults, because children, they may not able to lodge a complaint, they may not communicate. So it's a responsibility of adults to lodge a complaint if they come across with any kind of child abuse. So this you should remember in terms of POCSO Act. And the last and important point is Domestic Violence Act. Okay. So this is very delicate and we can say sometimes it may be misused also. Okay. So here I think you can see in a lot of movies also. We can see in some sayings also. They say don't go in between a husband and wife fight. Yes or no? Okay. In movies, like a lot of jokes might be happened. So if they go, husband is hitting wife. Now if you are trying to support the wife, wife only will tell to you, he is my husband. He can hit me. Who are you to ask? Am I right? Because that's the way our Indian system is happening. So here the Indian system, what they're trying to say is, I remember that Tamil jokes only where that Vadivel movie, I think you may not be aware. So where a third person will try to support the victim. We say, as per the act, we say the wife is a victim. But the system in India, what they say is the victim itself says that he's my husband. He has all the rights on me. That's what they say. So again, as per this act, what it says, this is only the victim has to lodge the complaint, not others. Because they are adults, they are major. But as a nurse, what we can do? The victims may not know like this something is there. And now government is saying every district we have something called one-stop center, OSC, one-stop centers mainly for this domestic violence only. So what we can do as a nurse when you come across a person suffering with domestic violence, please inform, educate them. Don't give health education. So give health education on this. So Domestic Violence Act is there. One-stop center is there in each district. It is completely free. They provide counseling, legal service to victims of domestic violence. Is it clear? So 3 acts I want you to remember. Mental Health Care Act, POCSO Act, where we are responsible to report about child abuse, and the Domestic Violence Act, where we have to create awareness to the general public. This is what required at the nurses level now. And please share the details about one-stop centers which is available all over all the districts in India. So these are the few areas we covered till now. And last point is few challenges faced by the nurses working abroad. Because here we note I can see another decades 2 or 3 we may need to come up to this level of super specialization. But these are a few things in literature we talks about the challenges of a forensic psychiatric nurse. One is protecting patients' rights and human dignity. That's a big challenge because he was punished by the custody judicial system, and now we are talking about the rights of the person. So now these both are simply somehow contradicted to each other. So that time the nurses faced more difficulty to maintain the rights of the person, at the same time dignity of this person also. Second point we can say is providing nursing care with possible health risk. I think all of us have some fear to go to jail, am I right? To see a victim or to see a convicted person, we say we have some kind of fear will be there. But as a nurse in this area, they should work with those people, those who are convicted some crimes. So always there is a risk. So that is another big challenge, provide nursing care with possible health risk. They may be undergo some kind of violence and other things. And last challenge what they faced is the negative emotions towards the patients. So already we may have an idea, preoccupied idea, saying that this person is committed, he committed a crime, murder or theft or rape. So what to do? So that thought will be there, preoccupation will be there as a nurse. That hinders, interferes with the professional care what we are supposed to do. So these are the main 3 challenges available in literature. We talks about already a nurse is working in this area. Okay. So with this, I will complete the session of forensic psychiatric mental health nursing. And now the floor is open for discussion. So questions, doubts, and your experience, that's what most important. Because definitely we learn from each other during conference is the major outcome where we can learn from each other. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Both partner in the sense?
Sir, about suicidal act you said, no, sir. 2017 onwards, it is not decriminalized. They made it. Both the partner is staying togetherly. Among the both, anybody got by suicide attempt, death or suicide attempt, the remaining partner will be get affected legally.
Yeah, I understand both were trying to end their life together.
No. Both only anyone, sir.
No. The couple of
options. Couple
two
of
people
both.
they tried to end their life.
Anyone among the both.
No, my understanding.
Anyone tried the end of their life. The remaining will alive for him anything legal effects.
Yeah. So I think we can say I can take in terms of Dowry Harassment Act. No, if anything happened like this within 5 years of married life, the next entire family is gone. Because as per the Dowry Harassment Act, spouse, anyone, especially a female, died within 5 years of marriage life, committed suicide also, there this will not appear. There dowry harassment will come. So that time the entire family will be, I think that should be an inquiry at the Tahsildar level. They should conduct an inquiry, then they have to send a report. But after 5 years, in general, what I can say, suicide meaning is a person decided by himself or herself to end his life. So there is no force. Okay, if a suicide note says this is because of this reason or because of him or her I am ending my life, that's not suicide. No, that is induced suicide. So that time that suicidal death note will be as an evidence. Through that, then another person will be undergo some trials. Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. 7 years. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
If there's a suicide note and they specifically name someone for the cause of suicide, the said accused will be charged with abetment to suicide.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry. Dowry harassment is minimum 7 years, not 5 years. Yes. Yeah. Please careful, all of you. Okay. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sir, one more thing, sir. As Mental Act 2017 states that we can write, before mental health get deteriorated, we can write a will like thing, like how to treat us.
Yes.
And we need to submit to the state authorities.
Yes.
Then if the person is suffering from mental illness and getting admitted to the hospital, how this state is communicating to the authorities, because he's suffering from mental illness.
Yes.
Hope so this thing can be masked because of communication gaps. How this process is.
So this is a very, very, very good practical question. Thank you, sir, asking this kind of very important practical question. You can see in Karnataka something called E-Manas. You can browse in Google, you will get something called E-Manas. So E-Manas is the first of in Karnataka, in India I can say. It's a state government initiative where the Mental Health Care Act is completely implemented through a digitally driven system, where each mental health professionals can register themselves as mental health professionals, and each mental health establishment can register as a mental health establishment, and a person can upload their advance directives in this. So as per this act, what it says, anybody got admitted in a psychiatric hospital, the registered mental health establishment should give notification information to the mental health authority, to the review board. So now the review board is the governing body. So anybody in this scenario, if a person got admitted who has given advance directives, it is in the mental health care authority. If he got admitted in a hospital, when the hospital will give reports to the mental authority, that time it will be, we are trying to identify, because it is digitally driven, we are able to match the data so that we can able to identify if the advance directives are already there or not. I am still in the baby steps only, because 2017 it was started, still E-Manas is progressing. I think we have few psychiatric nurses are here. Did you register there in E-Manas as a health professional?
No.
Many of us may not, because we may not know that things are available. So this is one point I can give an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to share. There is something called E-Manas in Karnataka. So there all the psychiatric professionals can register themselves as a mental professional in Karnataka. So that your name will be registered in the state health mental health authority. Okay? Yes.
And next thing, sir, is there a system that the will written, director is written by the individual, is being supervised by someone?
Yes,
because he is suffering from mental illness.
Yes.
What directives he has given to the state authorities, whether it has been implemented, like a supervision system is there, or
yes, sir. Mental health review board is meant for this purpose only. So under the authority we have something called mental health review board. So that review board is main job is supervising all these things are going in a way how it's supposed to go. Okay. Suppose the next person suppose I got sick, I got admitted, I have an advance directives. My family members feels that it's not following. So my family members having the rights to complain against the establishment to the authority. So authority will investigate and they will take necessary actions. So these are right now available mechanisms. Yes, sir. Yes.
Related postcode case, sir. The baby admitted in the hospital. The nurse is rectified. These are the maybe sexual abuse and there. Without parent knowledge, he can report to the police. Nurse.
Whether we are informing to parents, we should inform. Okay. But as per this act, what it says, any adults who come across this situation, their responsibility to report to police. Here as a nurse, we are responsible.
Report,
okay,
sir.
we are responsible for it.
Without
But if you are practicing independently, you should independently communicate to report to police. If you are working in a hospital where you have a system will be there. So there you have to follow the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. So any other questions? And please give your experience so that we can learn. Yes. So if no questions, I will ask 3 questions to all of you. All of you ready? Yes, sir. So shall we have that? Sir? Yes? Yes, sir. That is the question actually. We have a question there. Sir, Adu Kalsana. Yeah. Please, ma'am.
Sir, according to Mental Health Care Act 2017, so advanced directives. So you have told that we have to register, means we have to make a will like. So who can make the will, and in which condition the person have to do the will? Because in case of death it is different, because we will be knowing death is inevitable process, so we are going to die. How we can understand we are going to become a psychiatric mental ill? So who can do this?
I am telling we can do it now. The meaning is, as per this act, any person, any adults, any person can give a direction to the treating team. In future, suppose if I get a sickness, it doesn't mean that I'm going to sick tomorrow. I'm going to sick next week. It's not like that. So anytime we may not know if I'm going to become mentally ill, I can give directions. So there is no timeline for it. Any individual at any point, basically any adult, can make these advanced directives. As it only 2 things they have to mention: how they're supposed to treat, how they're not supposed to treat. So anybody can write this.
Anybody, sir? Is there no any indications like
Nothing.
only these persons?
Even we wish we should not get the illness, even though we can have advanced directives.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
There is no indication for this. This person can do it. So as per this act, any adults can go for it.
But why you have done this, sir? Meaning, why this act have done this advanced directives?
Yeah. Why?
What is the reason?
What is the reason for advanced directive? Others, ma'am? Anybody? Yeah.
Regarding to, I would like to put my viewpoints for your question.
Yes.
Why this is being done? Just I'll give an example. Like for example, in Western countries wherein euthanasia is practiced, there is a form called DNR form, Do Not Resuscitate form. It's an option for us. So if in case we encounter in our life such a situation wherein we are supposed to be put on a ventilator, so we are giving in advance that do not resuscitate. So it's like a declaration, like a will from our part, that in case in my life, if I go to that stage, it's a directive that you should not put me on ventilator. So that is my choice. So that is the right, DNR forms. Similarly, now in India, we have some donation forms, eye donation. So we are doing it in advance. Body donation for anatomy or dissection or academic purposes. We are doing it in advance. So in the same way, I think probably we have under this particular act, with the same objectives, that option has been given that it's a choice of a treatment, how we would like to be treated. Suppose in our life we end up in such a state. So that is the only thing why that right has been given under this act, and that is a declaration made by it. So it's like that.
Thank
We
you.
don't expect. So yes, I don't know whether we'll be on ventilator or not, but DNR form is an option in case we end up like that. So that's an option. It's
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Point, sir, from my this thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your idea. Anybody else? Yes, please.
So you have told about the POXO Act and the Domestic Violence Act,
Yes.
that the punishment you have told that in the dowry violence that 7 years jail will be there. So what are all the victim who we convicted for the elderly abuse? You have not noted. So please can
Okay.
you?
So elderly abuse, we have a separate act is there. Please thanks for asking this question.
Yeah.
What's your good name?
Ibrahim, sir.
Ibrahim. Okay. Yeah. So as per this POXO Act, if you are not reporting others, if you are not reporting, we may get an imprisonment and fine, imprisonment up to 6 months, or fine, or maybe both. Okay. So for elderly, I have to check and I'll get back to you. Huh? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So if no more questions, so we have 3 questions. Okay. Next, please. Next. Yeah. So there is a quiz for all of you. You can join in the quiz. You can type your name in that. Yes. Prakash Siddhapur, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome. Okay. And there will be 3 questions will be asked. Very simple questions only. Who is answering fast will get some prize. Okay. Right answer and answering fast. Is it clear for all of you? You have to give a right answer. At the same time, you have to give how fast you are, fastest finger. Okay. Don't see the screen. You can see your mobile only. Questions will come in mobile only. So each questions will have around 30 seconds, and there will be 4 options will be there. You can select the one option what you feel which is right, and let's see who is the winner. Yes. Ready, all of you? So we have 164 participants. Shall we start? Yes? Yes. Yes. Yeah. First question is, so according to Mental Health Act 2017, how many days a person with mental illness can be admitted with their parents or guardians' consent? So 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Okay. Yes. So 66 people said exactly 1 month. So there I said 30 days, here I said 1 month. That's the difference. Okay. That's the way question will be asked. So 1 month we can admit a person. That is supported admission less than 30 days. So it's not 1 week, it's not 1 day. So 1 month we can admit. There is no option for more than 1 month in this section. Next question. Next, please. Yes. Next. Oh, sorry. I think you pressed 2-3 times. Yeah. Second question. Who has the right to make advance directives? Who has the right to make advance directives? Yes, 179 people responded. Yes. As I told you, any adults have the rights. Parents cannot make advance directive for their children. And same thing guardians also. Only adults can make advance directive for themselves. Yes. Next, please. Yes. Next. Yes. Last question. Okay. So, as a nurse in emergency ward, you suspect that admitted child was sexually abused. What should you do? So we have to inform the police or inform the hospital authority or both or none. Okay. Yes. 85 people said both. Okay. But why you said both? Majority said both, no? Yeah. Okay. But in India, do we have independent practice? So in this, which is the right answer? Hospital authority. Please remember this point, okay? Otherwise, what happens when we are training this to our, we use this for our counselors also in telemanagers. So people have an apprehension saying that I should go and lodge a complaint in the police station. So when you are working in a hospital, it is a hospital, is an organization, institution, their responsibility. So your responsibility is, once you observe this, you should communicate to your hospital authority who is handling these medical legal cases. So that is the hospital authority should take that initiative of lodging complaint against the, lodge complaints about this case. Is it clear? So as a nurse in India right now, if you are working in a hospital, you need not to go to a police station to lodge a complaint. Your job is, you have to communicate this information to a hospital authority which has a system of making this process. So they will take care of it. All of you ready for this? Yes. Now let's see who is the leader out of all these three questions. No? Yes, sir. Next, please. Yeah. Next. Yes. So 3 out of 3 in 44 seconds. Mr. Sagar. Can I have Mr. Sagar here? So we have a prize for you. Yes? Sagar? Who is the name of Sagar actually? Or Annappa? Next is Annappa. Please come. Sureka. Please come. Dharam Singh Hajri. Please. And Rekha. Please all of you come here. Please come. What about remaining 3? They are not here. Yeah. Please, sir. Thank you. Okay. This is a small token of appreciation. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So with this, I have 3 more actually. I can give it to my team members here. Okay. So thank you all for your wonderful time and patience listening. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very impressive session, and you have enlightened us with your knowledge. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Please be seated. So when we hear about the term forensics, we get into our mind regarding the death, the mortuary, post-mortem, finding the cause of a death, and collecting the evidences. All that comes to our mind. But there are many other aspects in mental health care setups where all legal liabilities are there. That comes in a forensic psychiatric nursing, was well explained by our speaker today. Really, we are very thankful to you, sir. Now, I request Chanbasappa Bidri, sir, Assistant Professor, KIMS College of Nursing, Hubli, to express your views about today's presentation. Okay, I request Sudhir, sir, to talk about the presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can understand this is the lunch time, but still I just wanted to say that Dr. Balamurugan sir has elaborately explained all the aspects. He covered beautifully, especially including the challenges actually, what we have right now, because sir has already said that we are in infancy stage in forensic nursing and yet to develop more. Okay, so I thank him for actually giving, and especially I thank him for the interaction actually what he had with all the delegates. That is a cherry on the top actually for this session. Thank you so much, sir, for this. And this is a great, this is like, I'm very indebted to you to bring out the best things what actually is happening. And thank you so much, sir, actually. Thank you so much. And a special thanks to Dr. Pushpa ma'am. She has given a valuable, added valuable things actually into the session. Thank you very much, ma'am, also. Same time.
Now I request chairpersons or Anna Sahib Patil sir, Pushpa madam, and Namdev sir, Prakash sir, Pangana sir, Prakash Siddhapur sir, Eti Kumar sir, Gururaj Kugri sir, Suresh Patil sir, Valmiki, Basaraj Hukkeri, Raju, and Basangoda Patil, and Tanvir Ahmad, all together on a stage to felicitate our today's speaker. Please come on to the stage, all of you.
Thank you, sir. I request moderator of the session, Mr. Sidhuvirapatuppat sir, to give away the certificates to the chairperson. Poster presentation judges. Yes, ma'am. Huh? I request dignitaries to stay back on the stage. We had poster presentation which has been evaluated by Mr. Pandappa Wade, in charge principal, Bidhan Institute of Medical Sciences. I request Mr. Pandappa sir to come forward and receive our felicitation. I request Mr. Pandappa sir to receive the certificate. Poster judges. We have another judge for the poster presentation competition, Mr. Dharam Singh Hazare, Assistant Professor, Government College of Nursing, Raichur Institute of Medical Science, Raichur. Presenters. We have poster presentation candidates, delegates who have presented the poster. I request them to come forward as I announce their name. We have Mr. Umesh Nandgaon from Assistant Professor, Keli Nursing College. Kashinath Kapse, postgraduate student from KIMS Hubli. Next we have Sheila Nirmani, Keli College of Nursing, Belagavi. We have Kashinath Kapse. And the fourth poster presenter, Usha S. We have Usha S, Professor, PhD Scholar from Sridevi Nursing College, Tumkuru. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the delegates. Now, Mr. Dharam Singh Hazare, Assistant Professor, Government College of Nursing, Raichur Institute of Medical Science, Raichur, who has judged the posters, will come forward and speak a few words related to the posters who are presented.
Okay. Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dharam Singh Hazari, working as Assistant Professor and Academic Coordinator at RIMS Government College of Nursing, Raichur. Firstly, I would like to congratulate all the participant who has participated in poster presentation. Participation matters a lot here. And here, all the posters we have gone through. I mean, myself and Pandapa sir, both we have evaluated the posters and we have felt it's all the criteria has been met. But as a evaluator, I should go through and I should select the best. So a few criteria we have been gone through and we have selected the posters. The criteria is like the size of the poster, that is standard size, font size of the title and body. Next is graphical representations. Next is figures and visuality, that is visual and pictures quality. And one more thing is conclusion, what they have given in that. And next, overall appearance. And one more important thing is what the poster is emphasizing. I mean, what conference message, comprehensive message the poster is giving. Including this and all criteria, we have selected the best among all poster presentations. And now I would like to congratulate once again the participant who have participated in poster presentation. And I thank the organizing committee, and a special thank to Mr. Namdev Malge sir and Prakash Kodli sir and Ravi Ajur sir for making me to stand here as evaluator. Thank you.
Delegates, kindly note the last session feedback form, kindly fill it. The link is provided in the group. Now you can disperse for the lunch break, and the paper presentation will be starting soon after the lunch. All the delegates at 2:30, all the delegates for paper presentation kindly be ready at the venue. Thank you.